Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's running of the 110th Indianapolis 500. And for the third consecutive year on KRC, a full field of race cars for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway live on KRC. 33 cars set to go green and set to go upwards of 240 miles per hour here this afternoon at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Drop of the green flag scheduled for roughly 12 to 13 minutes from now. Looking at the starting lineup for today's race, trying to pull that up at the moment, and for some reason on IndyCar.com, it is not working. I may have to log out of this and then log back in to IndyCar's website. And if I can't find it here, I can go on to Fox, and I'm sure they'll foxsports.com will have something for us. Live timing and scoring. Obviously, the race hasn't started yet, nor are there cars on the racetrack, so there's not going to be any live timing and scoring at the moment. Yeah, see, this isn't the starting lineup. Felix Rosenquist is not on the pole. Looking again. Yeah, nothing there. I think this was just the first round of qualifying with all 33 cars. Not the Fast 12. Even the top 12 isn't even... Oh, there we go, Fast 6. Fast 6 is in order, but then it doesn't have anybody else. Yeah, this website, not the greatest for me at the moment. Caitlin Clark at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, amongst many professional athletes, celebrities alike that attend the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for this very event every year. And what I would call, as well as many others, the biggest race in motorsports. One of the longest running races in motorsports. And here we are for yet another year of the Indianapolis 500. Will Buxton, Townsend Bell, and James Hinchcliffe will be the commentators for Fox Sports in today's presentation of the 500. Easy Network, Bam Hall, Matthew Dorter Bruno, Dean Tate, welcome to the stream. You guys are the first in the chat down below. I'm ready for this. Might have to go to foxsports.com to try to find a leaderboard, because I'd like to go through the starting lineup before the command to fire engines. We might just have to wait until after they fire engines. Overcast skies in Indianapolis, but no rain, it appears, which is a good sight to see. Many stories coming into this race. Alex Palou, defending Indianapolis 500 champion, on the pole for this year's race, trying to go back-to-back like Joseph Newgarden was able to do the 2 years before that in 2023 and 2024. Newgarden going to be starting deeper in the field in today's race, qualified outside the top 20 last weekend. There's a Penske car in the front row, and that would be David Malukas starting in the third place position after a good start to this season, third in points with his new team at Penske. Alexander Rossi injured in a crash on Monday afternoon in practice earlier in the week. Is the 2016 champion of this race, won as a rookie. has a right ankle and middle left-hand finger injury coming into this one. Those are just the stories across the front row.
Marching band to perform in
Fearless. Gives me chills of when I was there just 4 years ago. Can't wait to get back. And for today, for the third consecutive year, I'll be giving live commentary for today's race right in front of all of you. 200 laps around the 2.5-mile famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 500 miles our distance for today's race. Packed crowd on hand as usual. Sellout crowd of well over 250,000 people. Here's Roger Penske to give the command to fire engines.
running of the Indianapolis 500. Today will be part of the biggest spectacle in any part of the world on one day with this great crowd here in Indianapolis and the ones watching around the world. Today we honor the 250th birthday of our country and also honor the men and women and the first responders in our military to keep our country safe and secure. Drivers, start your engine!
There we go. Engines are fired, ladies and gentlemen. And the 2026 Indianapolis 500 will be ongoing here shortly. Still trying to find any form of a live scoring. Go Indy 500 live leaderboard. Cars are rolling on the front stretch here at Indianapolis, and they get 3 full pace laps. On the 4th, they will be going green. Since cars are actually running now, I wonder if the raw feed is working, and it is. Starting lineup for the 110th Indianapolis 500, defending champion of this race, Alex Palou on the front row. The 2016 champion, Alexander Rossi, injured in a crash earlier in the month of May. In fact, last Monday, still competing here today, will also start on the front row. David Malukas will be starting in his first front row at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and his first Indy 500 with Penske Racing. Felix Rosenquist on the inside of row number 2, another former winner of this race alongside Santino Ferrucci, who has never finished outside the top 10 in the Indy 500, and Pato O'Ward, who has been a bridesmaid a couple of times but never the bride We'll see if Pato O'Ward can get his first career Indy 500 victory today. Kyle Simpson, Indiana's Connor Daly, and Scott McLaughlin will line up in row number 3. McLaughlin, a crash before the green last year, looking to get this race started. He has been waiting 365 days to do so. Scott Dixon heads the inside of row 4, another former Indy 500 champion from 2008. Renus VK and two-time Indy 500 champ Takuma Sato in 2020 and 2017 will be in row 4. Row 5 for Ed Carpenter, who has the most starts of any active driver in today's field in the Indy 500. Four-time Indy 500 champ Elio Castroneves looking for number 5 and to become the only driver in history of this great race to do so. Christian Rasmussen will round out the 5th row on the outside. And row number 6 will be Marcus Armstrong and Marcus Ericsson. To the outside of them will be Christian Lundgaard. Will Power, the 2018 Indianapolis 500 champion, 2017 Indy 500 champion, will be in row number 7 alongside Nolan Siegel and Louis Foster. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the 2014 champion of this race, on the inside of row number 8, alongside two-time winner Joseph Newgarden just a few years ago in 2023 and 2024, and former F1 driver Romain Grosjean, rounding out row number 8. In row 9, Kyle Kirkwood, Catherine Legg, who will be doing double duty this afternoon, running both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 for NASCAR later tonight. Mick Schumacher making his Indianapolis 500 debut in the 47. Graham Rahal alongside Auger and Jacob Abel will be in row number 10. Rounding out the field in row 11, Stingray Robb, Colette, and Jack Harvey, as we set the full 33-car field for today's race. Hopefully we have a good, safe race this afternoon, and it is a good, safe start. Of course, we've seen some opening crashes this first lap, first couple turns in years past. Definitely the most dangerous part of the race is the very start of the Indianapolis 500, 3 abreast, 11 rows deep. Field can get up to speed basically when the pace car heads for pit road in the middle of turns 3 and 4, try to help space the field out just a little bit more. Couple more pace laps until we go green yet. Jerry Marty, thanks for tuning in. Dakota Rooser, Billy Kramer, welcome back. If any of you were watching our Craftsman Truck Series live commentary stream earlier this afternoon, I should say this morning, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Coca-Cola 600 again later tonight, just after 6 p.m. Eastern. They will be going live for that one. A lot of stories to follow, as I mentioned, going through the starting lineup and even just before that for today's race, and we will follow all of those stories all day long. Battle of attrition. Just to make it 500 miles and then to stay on the lead lap, keep yourselves in contention. You cannot win the race in the opening 400 miles, but you can certainly lose it. And the idea is set yourself up for when that final pit stop comes, that you are of those front couple of drivers that can get yourself in contention to win this race. Obviously, a lot of us here on the channel that are fans of the channel, we are live every NASCAR race weekend. Obviously, this is not a NASCAR race. Though stage racing, we do have a scheduled advertised distance as well of 500 miles. We will not go a lap beyond that. So old-fashioned strategy in play here. Typical IndyCar procedures. Over 350,000 spectators at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Over 250,000 in the grandstands alone, and then another 100,000 plus in the infield. Field is 3 abreast down the back straightaways. The pace car is going to rush for pit road. They will be going green this time. And what a rush it's going to be as they head for turn one. Field tightly three abreast as they enter turn four. Coming to take the green flag in the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. Kind of a standing slow start as we get things going, and now up to speed. Green flag in the air as Alexander Rossi. Trying to go back-to-back will take us to the green flag today. Through the first turn pretty safely in the top half of the field as everybody building speed up now out of turn two. Headed for the back straightaway, Alexander Rossi took the lead away into the first turn away from Alex Palou, but Palou going to look to get it back. And clear into turn three. Rossi giving up that position, and he'll line up in the draft, and a fuel-saving measure going to be ongoing all race long. A battle of strategery. From lap one onward, the leader at the end of lap one by inches was Alex Palou, but Rossi takes back the lead into turn one. Injured at all, looking to run the Indianapolis 500. He has gone 10 years since his last win in this race, which was his rookie campaign. Santino Ferrucci up 2 positions on that opening lap as well to get to third place. Single file most of the way into turn three, a battle for position towards the back half of the top 10. Scott McLaughlin picking up another spot as he moves into 7th place, passing Pato O'Ward. Rossi was looking to take the lead back on the outside, but he wasn't able to do so, and Alex Palou back to the front again. A couple of lead changes in these opening 3 laps of the race. Going to see a lot of lead changes today, and it's going to be interesting to see who is going to work in a cohesive unit at the front of the field. You can't really save fuel when you're leading the line in the draft, and the idea is to try to make this race on the least amount of pit stops possible. Being as big of an oval as it is, you can make a pit stop, not have to really worry about going a lap down, and circuit back out on the field if you're up at the front portion of the lineup. Within a few seconds of the leader especially. Alex Rossi back to the point and leads his way through turns 1 and 2. Rossi had his crash in turn 2 on Monday where he had gotten injured. And he was still a participant in Carb Day earlier in the week. So he has been back behind the wheel before the start of today's race. Field's pretty tightly bunched together, all staying with the leaders at the front. It's just a change of the lead back and forth between Rossi and Palou, lap over lap. Palou back out in front into turn 1. It's only an official lead change when we have a different leader at the start-finish line as across the yard of bricks. Lap over lap. So only 2 official lead changes so far in the first 5 laps. Kind of a slower pace here to start. Just over 41 seconds the lap time for some of these drivers. Average speed on their laps right around the 216 to 218 mile per hour range for the leaders at the front of the field. Rossi back to the lead into turn 1. Just managing everything. When we saw speeds in practice and qualifying of up over 240 miles an hour, we may see that a little bit later in the race when drivers are pushing their hardest, but definitely not pushing as hard for the start. We saw how last year's race ended up going with the new body for these Indy cars. Led for a lot of cautions. Drivers maybe trying to just make it all the laps in this race, and to do so, a safe start. It kind of begins with the leaders at the front of the field, how their pacing is. Kind of carry that the rest of the way through the pack. Below stretching his lead out a bit down the back straightaway. We'll see if Rossi's going to be able to build up a run in the draft and catch him back on the front stretch. We haven't seen really any passes down the back straightaway for the lead into turn 3. It's mostly been on the front stretch headed for turn 1 on a lap-to-lap basis. Top 3 starting to extend their gap, though. Between 3rd and 4th place, nearly a second of a difference between Felix Rosenqvist and David Malukas. And again, into turn 1, it's Alexander Rossi taking the lead back. 5 lead changes now in the first 9 laps of today's race. There we go. There's an enlarged leaderboard. I'll have to see what that looks like on the channel. I got to scrunch the right side of the leaderboard up so you can see the lap counter. See if that works a little bit better for you all. Watching at home, I do think this raw feed's definitely better than the one we have for NASCAR.com during our typical Truck, O'Reilly, and Cup Series races every weekend. Half a second lead for Alex Palou over Alexander Rossi. 6/10 back in 3rd is Felix Rosenqvist. David Malukas back within a second in 4th, and Santino Ferrucci only 1.3 seconds out of the lead as we round out the top 5 at the end of now lap 11. Only Rossi and Palou have led laps in today's race. 6 passes back and forth between the 2 cars. Visual purposes, today's race on your local Fox affiliate for the Indianapolis 500. Only the second time that has been the case. Last year being the first. I wouldn't say a slow pace to start because we're still green. It'd be much slower if we had caution laps right out of the get-go. Started the race under caution last year because of the crash on the pace laps. A unique kind of circumstance there. Cold tires, a wet, slippery track. Saw a couple of incidents coming to get the green. Full field running order at the end of lap 13. Alex Rossi in the lead. Alex Palou in 2nd. Felix Rosenqvist 3rd. David Malukas in 4th. And Santino Ferrucci rounding out the top 5. Connor Daly in 6th. Scott McLaughlin 7th. Pato Ward 8th. Scott Dixon 9th. And Kiffin Simpson rounds out the top 10. Renus VK at 11th. Christian Rasmussen in 12th. Marcus Ericsson 13th. Elio Castroneves 14th. And Ed Carpenter 15th. Joseph Newgarden 16th, Takuma Sato 17th, Will Power 18th, Marcus Armstrong 19th, and Nolan Siegel rounds out the top 20. Christian Lundgaard in 21st, Roman Grosjean in 22nd, Kyle Kirkwood 23rd, Daniel Auger 24th, Louis Foster in 25th, Ryan Hunter-Reay back in 26th, Catherine Legg 27th, Graham Rahal 28th, Colette in 29th, Jack Harvey in 30th, Stingray Rod 31st, Mick Schumacher 32nd, and Jacob Abel rounds out the 33-car field. All cars still on the lead lap and running. We'll take our first break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC to full flag-to-flag coverage of the 2026 Indianapolis 500. Get the point standings across the top of the screen and former winners of the Indy 500 that are in today's field also scrolling across the top. Look at that throughout today's coverage. Our chat poll is open for who you think will win today's race. We will close that at the halfway mark at lap 100. Who wins the 2026 Indy 500 is the question. Alex Palou at 32%, Joseph Newgarden 26% of the votes, only 5% taking Pato Ward, and 37% taking somebody other than Palou, Newgarden, or Award. 19 votes have been casted in the early going of today's event. Laps are going to click by quickly, though.
And enter for free for a shot to win your share of $10,000 plus a VIP ticket and travel package to next year's Java House Grand Prix of Arlington race. See the Fox Sports app for details. Alexander Rossi back in the lead. Alex Palou had taken that while we were in commercial break. Still, really nice game being played between the leaders, between Rossi and Palou. But look at Rosenquist getting ever closer to those top two. I think Rosenquist is exactly where he wants to be. I think he's kind of letting these two swap positions. When you're leading out front, you burn much more fuel. If you could be second in line, third in line, you're going to save a bit more gas. Plus, he doesn't want to lead too much. Right now, he's led 5 laps. Palou's led 10. So right on board with DHL. Palou goes back to the point. Here's the thing, Townsend. You do burn more fuel. The engineers don't like it. But, man, as a driver, it's so nice when you're out front, not having to worry about anyone making a mistake in front of you, taking the air off your car. This is the view that you want on lap 199, sure, but it's not a bad one on lap 16 either.
Yeah, looking pretty gentlemanly between first and second place right now. Let's listen to a little bit of radio from Connor Daly.
Rossi back to the lead. That is the 11th change that we have had in just 17 laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That is the last year, the whole race, we had 22. They're talking about adding some front wing in that first pit stop, just battling some understeer. The front tires not quite gripping the racetrack the way that he wants. As the drivers exit turn 4 and cross the yard of bricks on lap 18, you remember Kyle Busch.
Oh, big crash back straightaway.
Leg and a rain as well. Dream of the double is over. Ryan Hunter-Reay's dream of another entire is done. McLaren and the AJ Foyt racing car, their days are over. Bitter disappointment for them both. And Catherine Legg's dream of becoming the first woman to complete the double is done. And our safety team is always quick on the scene. We heard Catherine's radio saying that she's okay. They're going to work now to clean up the racetrack. Pace car going to bring the field around, having to do a little bit of a chicane on the back straight there. You can see the disappointment on the crew, just all the work, guys, that goes into this race. It's obviously not just from the driver. Racing is the ultimate team sport. So much effort. All come undone here. Both of these, of course, one-off entries. The 31 for McLaren of Ryan Hunter-Reay. And the 11 for Catherine Legg.
Let's take a look at this replay here on the right side of the screen. You'll see Ryan Hunter-Reay just losing the car all on his own there at the exit of turn 2. He stays into the throttle there, trying to keep it off the wall, and at the last second, Catherine just swerves to try to avoid him.
That was a big hit for Legg.
To the inside barrier.
We talked about turn 2, guys. This is exactly what happened to Alex Rossi in that Monday practice. Just got a little high. You saw that first moment, he corrected it. Did a good job of keeping his foot buried and keeping it out of the wall initially. And Catherine is not sure which way that car was going to go.
I think she made the right decision. I think that hole was closing up impossibly for Catherine Legg. Right here, perfect decision. She had to do that and just narrowly avoided T-boning Ryan Hunter-Reay. Really sacrificing herself to protect the other driver. Horrible situation for both.
Checking on board now from the view of Graham Rahal. You see Ryan going around. Nothing but smoke. You can see how much the driver's vision is impaired. They're sitting so low, guys. They're looking through the aero screen. That smoke screen comes up, and you're going over 200 miles an hour. It's so hard to make that split-second decision and know which way to go. But great to see Catherine out of the car, waving to the crowd, and a head start to get to Charlotte. Eventually, she has been such a popular figure these last couple of weeks here. Seen so many girls and boys walking around in her merchandise this week. She will head on to Charlotte now, but desperately disappointed for her. Desperately disappointing for Ryan Hunter-Reay, the 2014 winner with McLaren. But think about all of the expertise that he has brought to that McLaren group for this 500 as they search to achieve the seemingly possible of winning the Triple Crown of motorsport in the same decade.
And I'm just shocked, James, that Ryan Hunter-Reay's car was that loose this early in the race. Temperatures are down, grip is up. He was seemingly running on his own there. We always talk about how treacherous, how difficult turn 2 is, and it just caught another winning driver of this race out.
Guys, we talk about how important pit lane is here at the Indy 500, and they're coming to pit lane, Georgia.
David Malukas comes to pit lane. Today he gave Team Penske their 50th front row start. He's a first-year Team Penske driver, and he brings his car to the attention of Travis Law, who is usually has in the previous years been the crew chief of the team, calling his first 500 as strategist this year. He makes his marks to his box. They're going to take 4 tires and fuel tank. This is going to be his first stop of the day, and obviously an important one. He is down and away after a slowing adjustment. Jamie, Alexander Rossi in the middle of your screen with 6 laps there. Turn a front wing out of 4 tires. Alex Palou, no changes. Looks good as he battled up front. Has led 13 laps today.
The big winners off pit lane. Rosenquist up to second, but Scott McLaughlin flown up the order with a brilliant stop from his Penske crew. VK, Grosjean, Caio Collet, and Jack Harvey stayed out.
All right, so we had a few drivers, it looks like, stay out of the pits. We'll wait for our leaderboard to update here. Pit strategies already taking place at Indianapolis. Usually only takes to that first caution to split the strategy up. Drivers who didn't get as good of an effort in qualifying, having to start deeper in the field, needing to gain some track position one way or another. And this is a way to do so. Flip the field, try to get off strategy with the leaders, and see if it works. Rinus VK, Romain Grosjean, Caio Collet, and Jack Harvey. Going to be 1 through 4. Alex Palou, who was leading at the time of the caution, back to 5th place. Then Felix Rosenquist in 6th, Scott McLaughlin 7th, Santino Ferrucci 8th, David Malukas 9th, and Connor Daly rounding out the top 10 with Scott Dixon and Pato O'Ward 11th and 12th. Yeah, Catherine Legge easily going to get to Charlotte in time. Always tough to get there before the start of the race for drivers doing the double, even with today's race starting without a hinge in the beginning, with firing off at the scheduled start time with no weather impacting today's event. Weather in Charlotte has been impacted all weekend long with practice and qualifying across the Truck, O'Reilly, and Cup series. All 3 series and qualifying rained out this weekend. Truck race was supposed to run Friday night, got postponed not only yesterday and Friday, but it was forced to have to run today at 10 a.m. prior to the start of this Indy 500, which it did. And the O'Reilly race yesterday started at its start time originally, 4+ hour rain delay. Then they ended up getting the race up to lap 91, where things finished out as it was rain shortened. And that finished late yesterday evening at about 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Spent a race at Indy in a turn 2 suite, nice view environment. I've heard those are great seats over there. I sat in turns 1 and 2 in the chute between 1 and 2 when I went to Indy back in 2022. Waiting for them to come back from commercial. We'll get the race restarted and resumed.
Is 500% by Cambridge. This is why we are under caution. Ryan Hunter Race spinning into the wall. Catherine Legg him to the wall as well. The stops have taken place. 4 drivers stayed out. VK leads.
I thought they were going to get to the restart right there. They did not. So we are awaiting the next little run. Renus VK, again, staying out of the pits, is going to consume the race lead for the first time. Alex Pillow, who was the leader at the time of the caution, on pit road in 5th. 2 drivers knocked out of the race. Alex Pillow will be the first, of course, on the 4 fresh tires with his pit stop. Former champion of the Indy 500 in 2014, Ryan Hunter-Reay, out of the race. Catherine Legg doing double duty this weekend, running the Coke 600 and the Indy 500. Unfortunately, will not be able to complete all 1,100 miles, taking out the incident as well. Hunter-Reay spins out of turn 2, nowhere for Legg to go. Spun to the inside retaining wall in an attempt to try to miss Ryan Hunter-Reay, who had spun from the wall up turn 2 across the middle of the racetrack. But again, those 2 drivers are out. Christian Rasmussen coming back into the pits again this last time by, maybe to top off on fuel, as will a lot of the drivers at the tail end of the lead lap, with the 31 out of 33 cars that started today's Indy 500 still in the race. Well, while we're under caution, we'll take another break. You're listening live on KRC, full flag-to-flag coverage of the 2026 Indy 500.
Time the ground shakes with your feet. Sit off. Names. It's the next light.
Here, you can celebrate anything. First car. Yes. Cute. Finishing a big project. Even your dog's birthday. He's eating the cup. Is that okay? It's his daily fiber.
$2 customer cash on a new 26 Tundra, or 2 fully credit financing plus 1,000 APR cash, or lease this Tundra for $439 a month.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
We run under yellow at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as repairs take place to the outside wall at turn 2. And while we are under yellow, why don't we head down to Kevin Lee to talk some Firestone tires.
Well, Will, much of the significance of this race is about the history, and Firestone has been around even longer. They are celebrating their 125th anniversary, and we go all the way back to the first Indy 500 in 1911. The Marvin Wasp with Ray Aroon had Firestone tires, and that's just part of the strategy to take fewer pit stops than everyone else and save time on the track. Harvey Firestone called this place the Great Outdoor Laboratory, and today's tires, including sustainability advancements, still carry the DNA from the very beginning, and today they will carry the winner for the 77th time.
Lovely stuff, Kevin. Thank you so much. All right, 1 lap left to go till we get back up and running. And man who was fighting for the lead for the opening 19 laps of this race, Alexander Rossi.
Let's take a look at what happened here, James. It looks like the right rear tire changer had to go to the spare wheel nut. Loses valuable time right there. Has to get it rethreaded and then gunned. Horrible under a caution stop for Alexander Rossi. He was breezing at the lead, and you see fuel burning off on the left-hand side, and that's not the only time that's happened.
No, we roll back 12 months to last year. Fire on pit lane for Alexander Rossi. saw the end of his race. Pit stop woes, though, today for ECR. We've already seen Alexander Rossi lost 11 positions on that stop. 3 ECR cars combined lost 30 positions on that round of pit stops. Christian Rasmussen, for a reason we're not quite sure of, had to come back in the pit lane for a second time. I can only imagine that's because they didn't get the fuel nozzle attached on that first stop. For Christian Rasmussen. But I'll tell you one thing, guys. Christian Rasmussen fighting through from the back of the field. Yes, please.
Yes, be something to watch.
He is one of the most exhilarating drivers in this championship when it comes to running on ovals. But we are getting back to green. It will be Rinus VeeKay, the 25-year-old from Hoofddorp in the Netherlands, who leads us away from Romain Grosjean, the front driver, in second place. Key. In third, Jack Harvey fourth, and Alex Palou makes the move on Harvey immediately, and Grosjean goes for the lead on VeeKay.
As we, upon the restart at lap 27, head for turn number 1, Romain Grosjean, Rinus VeeKay battling for the front spot through the first turn. Drivers who restart a little further back as we've got a spin and a car against the outside wall in turn 1 in the back half of the field. This will bring out a caution again, and it is number 33, Ed Carpenter. The oldest driver in the field, Ed Carpenter, has crashed in turn 1.
Ed's car, they'll have an immediate conversation and assess the driver. See the steering wheel coming off.
And that was a big hit for Ed Carpenter.
He's getting out. Good to see.
Experienced in this race. Wasn't born here in Indianapolis, but is an adopted Hoosier. It was a late acceleration from VeeKay. He's allowed to go much earlier than that. You see further back off of 4, Rossi, kind of the start of a big traffic jam, really, at 200 miles an hour. And you see in the middle there, that is Carpenter.
It's Sato to the outside, I believe. Carpenter trapped in the middle. They're 3 wide going into turn 1.
And what happens? He just Sato just turns down on him. Sato was trying to almost act like there was only 2 cars there, not being him and one other. Not a lot Ed could do from that place. Carpenter out of the vehicle, under his own steam. Good to see after a big hit. It's the turn 1 wall. He's frustrated. ECR's day goes from leading this race to abject disaster. Carpenter's not happy.
Tough break for Ed Carpenter out of the race early on in the Indianapolis 500 following a crash in turn 1 on the restart at lap 27. So back under caution for the second time now. Rinus VeeKay holding on to the lead at the time of the yellow was contested into the first turn by Romain Grosjean. So VeeKay leads, still under the yellow. Romain Grosjean in second, Cal Collette in third, Felix Rosenquist fourth, Scott McLaughlin fifth, Jack Harvey sixth, Alex Palou seventh, Connor Daly eighth, Santino Ferrucci ninth, David Malukas rounds out the top 10. Scott Dixon in 11th, Pato Award 12th, rounding out the top dozen. Not a lot of change there, maybe a couple spots, one over another, but no major losses or gains in the top dozen entering the first turn. Definitely a big hit for that turn 1 crash. Ed Carpenter out of the car under his own power. Good to see. So Indianapolis 500 coverage continues right here on KRC, local Fox affiliate, taking care of all the visuals for today's broadcast. Our live commentary efforts will continue onward as the race does. Sentimental favorite Ed Carpenter. Sorry to see him crash out, says John Barber in the chat. Yeah, that's tough. Obviously, a lot of maybe older fans of the sport hoping Ed Carpenter has a good run. And fortunately, just not going to happen, it looks like, here today. So 3 cars out of the race with these first 2 incidents. A 2-car crash at lap 18. And now a single car crash at lap 27. Haven't had a full completed green flag lap, obviously, since the lap 18 incident between Ryan Hunter-Reay and Catherine Legg. And Legg had hit the inside wall down the back straightaway pretty hard, too. So, obviously, you crash in any car at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway more often than not. It's a pretty hard impact, pretty hard crash to sustain as the driver. And that has been the case here. The early going.
Last year we made up 9 places. This year up 2 places through 29 laps. That is our Power Performance, sponsored by Harbour Freight. Georgia is standing by outside the care centre.
With Ryan Hunter-Reay, he's the first to be released from the IndyCar Medical Center. First, are you okay?
Yeah, thank you. It was super tough out there. We were loose on carb day. Thought we might have made some changes to fix it, but the whole time I was trying to keep it off the wall. Yelling at the team if that it was loose, and obviously in that position they have nothing they can do. They told me the right rear tire pressure and temp were skyrocketing, and you can't pit at that point because then you're going to be in a hole fuel wise. So. Super disappointing. That's the busiest I've been around here. First time I've been on the wall here, like 16 years. So it's a bummer, but I'm so grateful to this team, to Arrow McLaren, to Chevy, to Prize Picks, to everybody involved. Going out like that early is just absolutely heartbreaking. But man, I was holding my breath so much that first stint, just trying to keep the thing off the wall, and finally one of those wiggles turned into one that didn't come back in turn 2, and yeah, that's the gist of it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Speaks volumes when a driver of that experience and that level of success at this track is just hanging onto the car, just how tough it can be when the setup isn't to your liking. Right, we had 4 drivers that stayed out: VK, Grosjean, Collette, and Harvey. VK and Harvey have pitted. They've jumped off the alternate strategy. Grosjean and Collette are committing to it. Grosjean, the 39-year-old from Geneva, Switzerland, races under a French license. Formerly an F1 driver, has been in IndyCar for some years now, adores this championship, has never had a win, lead the field to green in the restart zone, wanted to start from Grosjean. Collette goes with him, the impressive rookie, who qualified so well, only to have a penalty afterwards, relegate him to the back of the grid, takes the lead of the Indianapolis 500. Alex Palou.
Crucially behind, Palou got back by both McLaughlin and Felix Rosenquist. So the champ on a charge now is Ferrucci and Rossi side by side at 2.
Yeah, Connor Daly there, who runs 4th in line, wants no part of hanging back right now. He goes to the outside of Grosjean in the 18 car. It's Daly to 3rd.
Rookie leads. Daly, the local favourite, up to 3rd. Sean drops 3. McLaughlin's dropped 2. But up comes Santino Ferrucci, and now Alex Palou makes the move for the lead and retakes his place at the floor of the field. And here
McLaughlin on Ferrucci with the late pass, and Malukas, I thought, was going to go for the short shoot.
instead, Rosenquist will now have a look underneath Malukas.
That was tight.
To wheel through 2.
It's a handful in turn 2 on your own, side by side like that. Brave stuff. It's now Newgarden once again moving up the order. He's up to 9th right now.
Oh boy, there was contact there.
Something leaving. Sure, there was contact between Newgarden and Rosenquist, but Newgarden keeps it stuck in as Collette. He can surely think about it. He does.
Connor Daly to the inside, bypassing each of the top 2 on the front stretch at Indy, and that'll get the crowd off their feet as Indiana's own Connor Daly now takes the race lead in the 110th Indy 500. With a brilliant pass on the rookie Collette, along with Alex Palou, defending series and race winning champion. We know Palou's got a very strong race car. Now we get to see the strength out of Daly, who has had a fast car all of the month of May. towards the top of the speed charts in practice through most of the month in various sessions, qualifying in the top 10, started back in row 3, and here he is at the front early on, only 35 laps into the race. Doesn't last for very long with Collette taking the top spot again as the rookie in the number 4. Back to the point through turns 1 and 2. And we'll see if Daly can hold on, as now Pelot's going to try to attack for second, I'm sure. Alternate pit strategy for Collette to get the lead, but I believe Connor Daly on the same pit strategy to that of our pole sitter, Alex Pelot. Romain Grosjean, who continues to lose positions back in traffic, is now in 5th place as Scott McLaughlin gets by him for 4th. And Grosjean on the same strategy as Collette, the leader, but Collette able to hold on to that clean air advantage and bypass. He's fighting hard to hang on to the lead so he can keep track position, because if he's back in traffic like Grosjean, he may be going backwards about as much as what he is. Collette started all the way back in the last row in today's race. Bypassed the first incident, leapfrogs the field, the second incident behind him, and continues on with the race lead as he's battled back and forth on a couple of occasions now. Going to be a fifth of the way home here in a couple laps. 100 miles out of 500 will be complete at the end of lap 40. Collette with a 0.3 of a second lead over Connor Daly into the first turn. Alex Pelot in second, 0.7 back. Scott McLaughlin a second off the lead in fourth, and Romain Grosjean still back in 5th place at a 2.5 out of the lead. 1.8 seconds back for David Malukas in the 12th car. In 6th, 7th is Santino Ferrucci, 2.1 seconds off the lead. Joseph Newgarden, 2.4 seconds back at 8th. Felix Rosenquist in 9th is 2.7 seconds back. And Scott Dixon rounds out the top 10. And Dixon 3.6 seconds out of the lead the last time by the start-finish line. Lap 39 of 200 in the Indianapolis 500 of 2026. Caio Collet, out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Rookie of this race. One of 2 rookies in the field. Leading the Indianapolis 500. And energy level-wise, he's down to about 10% as he has not yet made a pit stop. He's going to have to do so here shortly. With the 2 cautions, he was able to save quite a bit of gas that he's able to make these first 100 miles plus on 1 tank of fuel. Who knows? Maybe we continue to get 2 cautions every 100-mile block and he can make the race on 4 pit stops. That's going to be 1 less than the rest of the field. He could be on the race-winning strategy. It's only him and Grosjean on this current strategy. There was 2 others that ended up pitting, both Jack Harvey during that last caution, as well as, looking back at the running order, Rinus VK, who was the leader at the last restart, able to lead some laps in this year's race. Catherine Legg outside the infield care center.
In this car for a minute, and I was just chilling in the fuel. He spun, went down the track, then started to get back up the track, so I had to abort mission and try and go low, and I just didn't make it, basically.
Obviously, this is a disappointment and not the way you wanted it to end here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but you still have a big day ahead of you, so we just wanted to say congratulations on starting the race and your future endeavors today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Catherine.
Grosjean affords into pit.
Catherine Legg will be in the Coca-Cola 600 later tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. She'll be on her way there shortly. Probably during the next caution period here at Indianapolis, as she has been checked and released from the infield care center following an early exit with Ryan Hunter-Reay. So there we are, 100 miles in out of 500 in the Indianapolis 500, and it's still Caio Collet in the lead until now, where he comes to pit road for a green flag stop, and that will give the lead right back to Connor Daly and Alex Pelot, who run 1-2 at the front of the field. So with the pit stops, Grosjean came in the lap before our race leader Collet came to pit road. So Connor Daly again back in front, Alex Pelot in second, Scott McLaughlin third, David Malukas fourth, and Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top 5. Pelot trying to take the top spot on the high side into turn 3. Haven't seen that many passes for the lead, if any at all, in turn 3 today. I think the opening lap was the only other time we saw a pass for that top spot into the corner. Pelot able to get it, and he is close enough to get a draft off of this lap car up in front, so that might be the strategy play here for Alex Pelot. Closing in on the lap car who just left pit road, which was Romain Grosjean a couple laps ago. A few seconds further ahead would be the race leader from not that long back of Colette. And no matter what happens here for Romain Grosjean, he's just hoping he stays on the lead lap. If his pace is too slow, Alex Palou will pass him, but if not, this is a good opportunity to not only hold on to the lead, but hold on to the lead and save fuel for Palou, which is about what he did in last year's Indy 500 when it came down to him trying to win the race late. Was able to draft off a lap car, keep his straightaway speed up, and nobody was able to get around the 10 car. We haven't seen a pole sitter win the Indy 500 in a little bit of time. See if Alex can get it done. Sixth gear. A little bit of downshifting going on in turn 3, that is, for our leader Palou, even with a car in front of him. Palou being a couple spots out of the lead as well, with leading the most laps early on. He was in traffic a bit more on the restart, so was able to kind of get a gauge for how his car handles there. Alex Palou did not have an oval race victory in his IndyCar career until he won the Indy 500 last year. It was kind of a big mark. We knew the speed that he had all season last year, especially from the start prior to the Indy 500, and we wondered if that would translate on the oval. He had speeds, single car runs, and obviously qualifying well, but it was still yet to be determined as to whether or not he could actually win the Indianapolis 500. Finally got the win in not only this race, but on an oval, and now he will be a threat, I'm sure, year in and year out to come. As he was a threat before, but now we can really see the improvement for himself, getting more familiar, the more races he gets on these bigger ovals, whether that is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or even maybe a shorter track like Iowa. Daly was pretty aggressive to try to get to the point and take the lead at least once. Once he had gotten past, he sat in line and has not tried to make a pass back on Palou since Alex had passed him for what was then the second place position. Two cautions back-to-back in this one, or only two yellows of the race, lap 18, and then off the restart at lap 27. Best lap of the race that last time by for both Alex Palou and Connor Daly, so if you're wondering if they were saving anything, they've actually picked up a little bit, and that's because of the draft off the lap car right in front of them of Romain Grosjean. A 40.8-second lap time for both Daly and Palou. And again, that was the fastest that they have ran so far today. Sub 41-second lap time also for the fifth place car, Joseph Newgarden, who's quietly trying to keep up with his teammate Scott McLaughlin. 3 Penske cars running third through fifth right now, with the Honda leading 4 Chevrolets in the top 5. Long ways to go in a 500-mile race. It's obviously of the longest races of the season in IndyCar. They don't usually have lengths of races right around 500 miles, even on other ovals. What? Because of the speeds in these race cars, it doesn't feel like 500 miles. It's no walk in the park, that's for sure.
Some of the biggest tournament on the planet comes to America. You can see it all right here on Fox. Get ready for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It all kicks off June 11th on Fox FS4. Alex Palou is still leading Indianapolis 500, lap 48 of 200 completed. Connor Daly is second. Then it is the Penske trio, David Malukas, Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden is fifth from his starting position of $20. But guys, the driver on the move since the restart is not Newgarden. It's not Malukas. It's Rasmussen. I said watch out for him. This is the guy who took his first win on an oval last year in Milwaukee. He is renowned for being electrifying on an oval. He takes chances no one else dares. And he is displaying that here today once again. A trophy you cannot keep your eyes on.
It's so exciting to watch. Nobody's more comfortable with a loose car than Christian Rasmussen. That's where the back end of the race car wants to walk around. Exactly what led to Ryan Hunter race crash earlier. But Rasmussen just loves to dance on the wild side. And late in this race, if he's in contention, that could be an advantage.
And guys, we've been talking a lot about Newgarden's charge up through the field. Another driver that we had eyes on right from the beginning was Kyle Kirkwood, was out of position a little bit. We see the Sam's Club on board right now for the Andretti Global driver. Let's listen in on a little bit of radio for Kyle.
Should we help you with that punch tire pressure adjustment? No. You're having your fuel here. They are right on target for where they want to be. I talked to Brian Herta, who you just heard from, and he has it charted where they need to be at specific points in the race. During the last caution, when Kirkland was 21st, he said, we are actually a little bit ahead. He said, we only need to be up to 14th by lap 100. I said, will you ever have to go off strategy if you can't pass? He said, Kyle is going to be able to pass today. He can get to the fronts.
17th with 15 laps done. We are a quarter of the way through 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. They have come by incredibly quickly.
I'm just blown away. Not surprised, but massively impressed once again with what Joseph Newgarden has achieved to put himself right in the mix. We're only at a quarter distance, James. Whatever disadvantage he had to suffer in qualifying is eliminated. He is right in the mix. He has shown that he's got the race car to make the moves in traffic. Newgarden chilling right now, chasing this guy below.
I do love these DHL onboards. To take a look at the Honda driver profile of Alex Palou. 7 starts in the Indy 500, 1 win, but the average finish 8.2. That's what's so impressive to me. He came here as a rookie, was impressive right away. Year 2, when he moved to Chip Ganassi Racing, he nearly won the thing. The only guy that was able to beat him that day was Elio Castroneves, a 4-time winner of this race. But he took lessons learned from that race, applied it last year, and took home his first 500.
For me, more than the stats, what do the hands tell me? If we go back on board Alex Palou, just look at how calm those white gloves are in the corner. Absolutely confident, methodical, and ultra precise. Palou, a master on all racetracks, and now here at Indy.
Once again, using the slipstream, using the toe, the 2 cars ahead. He could easily put a lap down, but he opts not to, using them to pull him around the track. Instead, guys, we talk about Alex Palou, 4-time champion, driving for Chip Ganassi Racing. There he is in the yellow and red DHL car, leading the 3 Penske's in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We expect them to do well also. But in 2nd place, Connor Daly lost his ride at the start of the season. This is a one-off race for himself, for Dry Reinbold Racing. They are mixing it with the 2 biggest teams in the history of this sport, and they do not look an inch out of place.
Talked to Connor Daly last night. I said, what happens to you on Monday? He says, unemployed again. Well, a guy who's have a job tomorrow, Jamie. Tell us about it.
Well, Alex Palou, I sat down with him this week, and it was interesting. I asked him his first experience with seeing the Indy 500, and he grew up in Spain. Well, in Europe, it's not common to race on an oval. He said his dad was watching, and he said, what kind of racetrack is that? You don't turn right. Well, sure enough, his career brought him to the States, and he worked and worked and worked to figure out ovals, and he got his first oval win right here a year ago as he continues to dominate up front, guys. Another thing he told me, this race car, better than a year ago, and so far, it's true.
It may be better than a year ago. Connor Daly behind him has expressed the feeling that he has the best race car at the Indianapolis 500 that he's ever had. And Penske up their disappointment in 2025. And we've been speaking about this a lot in the days and weeks leading up to this. They are determined not just to win this race this year, but to lay down a marker and to dominate.
I'll know right now that they're in the catbird seat, running 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and Newgarden was on the press, but James, he started to chill out a bit and just get the fuel mileage to stretch this stint. Let's take a look at the Lar cutaway car and just see exactly how that looks, what the draft looks like, what the tip does for fuel efficiency.
So yeah, of course, if you are
the first car in line, you're running flat out, throttle all the way to the floor. You're only getting about 3.1 miles per gallon. The driver then feather that throttle a little bit if you're further back in the train. And off throttle, you certainly burn less. And that fuel save lap will improve your mileage going up to 3.5 miles to the gallon. And that's what everybody that's back there of the cars of Roman Grosjean and Kyle Collette, including Alex Palou, they're looking to get that extra lap by boosting a little bit on the straightaways. Now, you can't come completely off the throttle. You come to about half throttle, but you're really looking to try to extend go one lap further than your competition. That gets you that much closer to 500 miles.
And for the folks at home, when we say coasting, we're not talking about idling down to 30 miles an hour. The lap speed at the moment is racing. Who is coasting? 217 miles an hour.
That's coasting by way of what we've seen speed-wise out of these cars at Indianapolis, not only in years past, but even through the month of May. Alex Palou, the current race leader, out ahead of Connor Daly still. David Malukas in third. Scott McLaughlin fourth, and Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top five in fifth. Felix Rosenquist in sixth, Santino Ferrucci seventh, Scott Dixon eighth, Kiffin Simpson ninth, and Pato O'Ward rounds out the top 10. Marcus Ericsson in 11th, Elio Castroneves 12th, 13th for Marcus Armstrong. 14th, Will Power, Alexander Rossi, and 15th, Takuma Sato, 16th, Kyle Kirkwood, 17th, Nolan Siegel, 18th, Christian Lundgaard, 19th, and Graham Rahal round out the top 10. In top 20, in 21st will be Christian Rasmussen with Daniel Auger in 22nd, Louis Foster in 23rd. 24th, Venus Rike, Jack Harvey 25th, Jacob Abel 26th, Mick Schumacher 27th, Stingray Robb 28th, Roman Grosjean 29th, and Kyle Collette in 30th. 3 cars out of the race today. Ed Carpenter 31st, Ryan Hunter-Reay 32nd, and Catherine Legg 33rd, rounding out our full 33-car field. 60 laps complete out of 200 in the Indianapolis 500, 150 miles down in this one. Again, Palou the leader. We'll take a break. You're listening live on KRC, full flag-to-flag coverage of the Indianapolis 500, 110th running of which. A couple of cars at the back of the field were just making their way to pit road. Alex Rossi, Nolan Siegel, Christian Lundgaard, Louis Foster, Jacob Abel, along with Santino Ferrucci from the top 10, all in to the pit lane during the side-by-side commercial break on Fox. And we got more cars coming in the pits. Connor Daly from second. David Malukas inside the top 5. Pato O'Ward from the top 10 also coming to pit road. First wave of green flag pit stops today with the 2 cautions in those first 30 laps. We haven't seen green flag stops until just now. Having to back those speeds down to a slow 55 mile per hour on pit road. Hard to do from up over 200 when exiting turn 4 at full speed.
As Palou leads Daly, Malukas, McLaughlin, Newgarden, and now they themselves down pit lane. Lap 16 to 200. Kevin Lee is stepping.
And the last time, the number 2 team picked up 6 spots on a very fast stop. Newgarden has charged through the field for the second year in a row. He will hit his marks. Shell 100% renewable fuel and Firestone's stop is solid for Newgarden, Georgia.
It's he had an open box to get out, Jamie. Connor Palou down pit road. It's close as they exit and blend at the end. Palou making his way down next time by.
McLaughlin has got ahead of Connor Daly on that stop. Penske working it absolutely phenomenally. McLaughlin leads Daly. Then it's Newgarden. Then it's Malukas. You're allowed 2 wheels over that white line. All 4. And it's a penalty as McLaughlin brings them round to keep the pace. Stay ahead of this group because they fall ultimately.
Scott Dixon will now take over the race lead along with Kiffin Simpson and Christian Rasmussen, who have yet to make a pit stop. They have saved a little bit more fuel in the middle of traffic, able to extend their run an extra lap. Plus, Jack Harvey, Renus VK, Mick Schumacher also on the track. Remember that VK came onto pit road during the second caution, not the first, so he's got a little bit more fuel in his race car than others behind him. Top pit stop time, 7.2 seconds for Alex Palou, and that's one thing that can make a strong team even stronger is a fast pit crew, and a job well done for that Chip Ganassi Racing number 10 team. Scott Dixon gives up the lead. He's in the pits now after getting the lead for the first time. Kiffin Simpson and with him Christian Rasmussen for the first time today will now lead. And Rasmussen will be on to pit road the following lap, and that will give the second time driver, nope, VK coming in with him. Never mind. I thought VK was going to try to stretch it a little bit more. Couple extra laps considering he pitted after the first yellow. So Rasmussen, VK, Harvey, top 3 into the pits. This will cycle everything through. Mick Schumacher already on pit road, so everybody will have cycled through their green flag pit stops during the current green flag run, which is the longest green flag run of the race so far. Restarted just after lap 30, just over 30 full laps during this stint. Alex Palou will be back in the lead with Felix Rosenquist in second, David Malukas in third, Joseph Newgarden in fourth, and Scott McLaughlin will round out the top 5 and fifth when everything cycles. Connor Daly 6th, Pato Ward 7th, Kiffin Simpson in 7th, 8th place for Marcus Ericsson. Romain Grosjean on an alternate pit strategy right now, so he'll probably wait to pit a few extra laps. He will be 9th, and Santino Ferrucci will round out the top 10, again, once everything cycles through. Fastest racing in motorsports around one of the biggest tracks, one of the biggest ovals in motorsports, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. NASCAR will take their turn to the Yard of Bricks later this summer in July, I believe. Will be the Brickyard 400 this year. Much warmer conditions than what we're seeing here on Memorial Day weekend with the overcast skies in Indianapolis for this year's running of the Indy 500. Kind of an early Indy 500, if you will, just because Memorial Day falling a little bit earlier in the month of May. Obviously, it's always the last Monday of the month. But technically, next weekend, Saturday, Sunday, is still going to fall in May on the 30th and 31st. For our NASCAR scheduling going to Nashville, we'll pick up the next set of live commentary streams. I believe the Truck Series will be in action as well as O'Reilly and Cup, and we'll have live commentary Friday through Sunday for next weekend's Nashville Super Speedway events for NASCAR. And we got more pit stops.
4 tires to change, but I saw a leaf out rolling. Yeah, that's outside.
Well, this is a replay during pit stops specifically.
Out of the gun. So you see him reach down his belt, grab the backup. Not bad, all things considered. I could have been a lot worse. Ferrucci's still in. And
Scott Dixon trying to make some moves up inside the top spot there after he had cycled pretty well with a fast pit stop of his own. Now in a battle with Alex Palou, his teammate, up at the front of the field. So Scott Dixon leads, Alex Palou in second, Felix Rosenquist is third. David Malukas for Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top 5 and 5th. Dixon and Palou going back and forth into turn 3. Down the back straightaway after Palou led the last time by the start-finish line. Dixon passes him right back. Scott Dixon, longest between his first win and looking for his second of any active driver in the Indy 500 today. 2008, the lone win for Dixon. The 7-time IndyCar champion. He was in contention for most of this race last year before a pit stop went awry in the back half of the race. Was along with Alex Palou for most of it. He's caught up to his teammate who started on the pole. Dixon was not on the front row, had a little bit of work to catch up, but a fast pit stop maybe took a little bit less fuel to get there. We'll have to keep an eye on that as this race progresses. 72 laps complete out of 200 in the Indy 500, and Palou going for the lead again into turn 1. He did lead that last time by at the line, so technically, with Dixon taking the lead the lap before, that would be another lead change. Several in this race so far today. When I enlarge the leaderboard, I can't see how many we've had. 23 lead changes already in just 72 laps. It's been a very competitive race. 24 now this last time by at the line. On-track passes 227 and counting already, with 8 different drivers who have led out of the 33 that started, and of course 30 on track right now. Of the 3 drivers out of the race, of Ed Carpenter, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Catherine Legg, neither of those 3 were able to lead it all this afternoon. Side-by-side commercial break right now on Fox, so we'll go through the full field running order. As we're closing in towards the end of 200 out of 500 miles complete in this year's Indy 500. Alex Palou again leading the race with Scott Dixon in second. Felix Rosenquist third. David Malukas in fourth. Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top 5 in fifth. Scott McLaughlin in sixth. Connor Daly seventh. Pato O'Ward in eighth. Ninth place is Marcus Ericsson. Kiffin Simpson rounds out the top 10. Santino Ferrucci is in 11th with Marcus Armstrong in 12th. 13th is Will Power. 14th, Elio Castroneves and Alex Rossi in 15th. Kyle Kirkwood 16th. Christian Rasmussen 17th. Nolan Siegel 18th. Cal Collette in 19th. And Takuma Sato rounds out the top 20. Daniel Auger in 21st. Christian Lundgaard 22nd. 23rd is Renus VK. Graham Rahal in 24th. Stingray Robb 25th. Lewis Foster 26th. 27th is Mick Schumacher with Jacob Abel 28th. Collette back onto pit road again now 29th. And Romain Grosjean rounds out the top 30. And Collette and Grosjean on their alternate strategy have gone a lap down, so just 28 cars on the lead lap. Ed Carpenter will finish 31st out of the race with the second caution of the day. First caution taken out. 32nd place finish for Ryan Hunter-Reay, and unfortunately last for Catherine Legg, doing double duty with the Indy 500 Coke 600 double. Unfortunately on her way to Charlotte early, and she'll be racing for Live Fast Motorsports later tonight in that NASCAR sanctioned race. Blue Man, thanks for tuning in. If I haven't shouted you out, I greatly appreciate you all watching today's second live commentary stream following the Craftsman Truck Series race earlier on, and live commentary coverage of that at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Our live commentary coverage for the Indy 500 obviously continues all afternoon until we complete this race. And so far, it's been a good one. Through 200 miles, we're going to be halfway here shortly.
Where Scott Dixon and Alex Palou still lead. Time to take a look at the pit crew spotlight sponsored by Endurance.
And Joseph Newgarden helped his charge the field as we take a look at the two team by picking up 6 spots on the first pit stop. Stayed even after he got up to 5th on number 2. But they're a little bit shy on fuel as we look at the rest of this race strategy. You needed to get to 63 for the second stop to still be able to do it on 3 more stops. And what do we see? Scott Dixon, best on fuel as he and Alex Below trade the lead back and forth a little bit. My match says you need to get to 98, still with some fuel saving. We're going to stay green the rest of the way to be able to do it on 2 more stops after this third stop that comes in next. If we don't get caution, we might see some surprises. It's an ultimate strategy that comes into play.
Great shout, Kevin. Dixon on 63. Simpson, his teammate, on 63. Then we look down at Rasmussen, who is up to 17th. Up 13 places since the restart, up 18 places from his starting position. He's on 65. That's the last lap that he pitted. So too is BK. Our colleague and friend Jack Harvey down in 26th place. But when these pit stops start to shake out, every single lap later that they come in to stop on their last effort rounds will take dividends. And what's more, we may have weather on the way.
And you know what's so interesting, Will, is you're the one that pointed out at the end of carb day practice on Friday, 90% of the cars had gone back to the garage. They were starting to polish and prep for the race. Scott Dixon was out on the racetrack by himself, circling around, doing completely fuel-saving laps. He was learning how much fuel he could eke out of that number 9 machine, and that already is paying dividends early in this race.
Dixon also taking the lead in telling the team, this is what we are going to do. This is how we're going to pull each other around this track. It is his 24th Indianapolis 500. The 6-time champion, Sir Scott Dixon. Jamie, what can you tell us about the man currently sitting second?
Well, this is teamwork at its finest, Will. As you see Palou and Dixon swapping the lead, Dixon was begging for that to happen just to help them hit their fuel numbers. Of course, leading, you're going to use more fuel. So you see Dixon swap back into second. Now he's led 6 laps today. 677 laps led at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Coming into this thing, that's why he is an IMS, Indianapolis Motor Speedway Hall of Famer, guys.
Now makes 683, 684 over the line that time for Sir Scott Dixon. And guys, this is something we talk about a lot. Sir Scott Dixon, a 6-time champion for Chip Ganassi Racing. But of late, it's his teammate, Alex Palou.
Sir Scott Dixon of royalty.
Victories, taken the championships away from him. We ask, how do you keep turning up every weekend? You're getting beaten by inarguably the best of his generation when you're the best of yours here today. Scott Dixon proving he's no slouch and he's still in the fight.
Oh, very much.
Where did Alex Palou learn his excellence? The guy that he just passed, Scott Dixon, has been the benchmark in this sport for more than 20 years. And Alex Palou joined Chip Ganassi Racing about 5 years ago, studied, watched, quietly observed all the little details that make Scott Dixon so good. James, he's learned it all, he's seen it all, and now he himself is doing it all better than Scott Dixon.
Yeah, he's out-Dixoning Scott Dixon, isn't he? And, you know, it's been a remarkable year in a lot of ways for Scott. Like you say, you refer to being Sir Scott. Jimmy mentioned his induction to the IMS Hall of Fame, and this guy, I mean, record after record. One of the ones that stands out to me that's so impressive is 22 consecutive seasons with a win in the IndyCar Series. That is almost, I mean, it is unheard of. That's a record. It is so difficult to be that competitive over that amount of time, and not just competitive, but a race winner. Every year, for 21 consecutive seasons of IndyCar, Scott Dixon has won a race. I struggle to think of another competitor in another sport who has been at that level, not just of being good, not just of being competitive, but of winning every single year for over 2 decades. That is Sir Scott Dixon. That is our 6-time champion, one of the greatest of all time. Passed once again now by his teammate Alex Palou, undoubtedly the greatest of the current generation. The future generations sit behind. David Malukas yet to win a race. He sits fourth. The pressure of Penske on his shoulders. Down to Georgia.
Someone who's also having a competitive day today, Marcus Ericsson, started 17th up to 9th already. They had their question marks around qualifying, but he has always been confident in that race car. He told me earlier this week they set that car up similar to how they had it last year. You have to remember, he finished second on the track before a technical infraction that sent him to the rear of the field. So confidence exuded from that team. Something that's also helped Ericsson this month and all this year is having Robert Wickens on his stand. He told me Robert's just an extra set of eyes and ears. They go back and debrief together after each session, and it's been a huge help to him and the team. Robert Wickens, you see now on your screen.
Marcus Ericsson to 8th, Indianapolis 500, 35-year-old from Kumla, Sweden. He has won this race once back in 2022. And over the last 4 years, he's either won or come second every time he's crossed the line. It is quite the record that this guy has. He is sneaky, just makes his way up to the front. He's just so good, Ericsson, at being there at the end of the race. Sometimes you don't even mention his name through a broadcast until you realize with 15 to go, oh my God, he's right there. He's in the mix. He's fighting for a win. He's so good, especially at this race, these longer races, like on the fourth quarter drive. He is there in that moment when you need to be there fighting for the win at the end. Low leads Dixon, Rosenquist and Malukas. You got it. Crossing David Ward and Simpson.
Yeah, my NASCARism accidentally called him a 7-time champ, I believe. 6-time champ, of course, of IndyCar as far as the series championship goes. Scott Dixon out in front, kind of trading the lead back and forth with Alex Palou, his teammate, as they continue to try to save fuel back and forth. And it does sound like Dixon is of the best on fuel compared to any driver. So when you're the best on fuel and you're leading the race, that's a pretty good strategy to be on as we are approaching the halfway mark in this year's Indianapolis 500. Alex Palou jumps back to the top spot again this last time by at the line, so Palou leads. Scott Dixon now in second. Felix Rosenquist still third with David Malukas in fourth, and Joseph Newgarden rounding out the top 5 in fifth. Scott McLaughlin sixth, Connor Daly seventh, Pato O'Ward eighth, Marcus Ericsson ninth, and Kiffin Simpson round out the top 10. Santino Ferrucci in 11th with Marcus Armstrong in 13th. Marcus Armstrong in 12th, and 13th is Will Power. Elio Castroneves in 14th, Alex Rossi in 15th, Kyle Kirkwood 16th, Christian Rasmussen 17th, Nolan Siegel 18th, Daniel Auger 19th, and Takuma Sato rounds out the top 20. And 21st is Christian Lundgaard with Renus VK 22nd, Graham Rahal 23rd, Stingray Rob 24th, Lewis Foster in 25th, Jack Harvey 26th, Mick Schumacher 27th, Jacob Abel 28th, Roman Grosjean in 29th, and Kyle Collette in 30th, Ed Carpenter 31st, 32nd, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Catherine Legg 33rd, rounding out the field. So that is the full field running order for this year's Indianapolis 500. We should be approaching green flag pit stops shortly. We saw them just after lap 60. You're going to see them every 30 to 35 laps or so under green. So this would be our second wave of green flag stops during this green flag run alone, which has spawned nearly 60 laps thus far in and of itself. We'll take another break here as you're listening live to the Indianapolis 500 on KRC. The 110th running of the Indianapolis 500 continues, and we'll be nearing the halfway mark of this race very shortly. Next race for the IndyCar schedule will be next weekend, downtown Detroit for a street race. The Detroit Grand Prix.
Indianapolis 500 presented by Cambridge. You want lead changes? We've got lead changes. The 5th most in Indianapolis 500 history thus far, and we are only on lap 90. The clouds around the track are looming. The skies are darkening. Let's listen to some Joseph Newgarden radio. So a little conversation about right rear tire pressure. That would have been a change that the team did on that first stop and then ending
with a little bit of discussion about weather. They're saying 45 minutes on the Penske stand.
I don't know how long ago that was, but boy, you can tell the shadows are heavy. Skies are dark, that track surface as cloud cover moves into the area. We are at lap 91. The race is official once the leader crosses to complete lap 101. That's 10 laps away, but below Dixon Rosenquist, all the Penske's, everybody still needs to get maybe around lap 96, 97. I don't know if they can stretch it to lap 101. I don't know. That'd be quite a ways. Come on, lap 62. That'd be 38 laps. That's too far.
And if they can't make it, the drivers who could, once again, Rasmussen, who's made his way up to 16th, he has 2-3 laps over the rest of them, as does VK, as does Harvey.
Gosh, we just saw Alex Rossi peeling off the pit lane there.
Oh,
Not sure if that's a strategic decision to maybe be.
Oh, yes, spin.
Oh, that's how.
Is that leaving pit lane?
Will Power in the Andretti has had a torrid and horrid start to the season for Andretti.
And guys, there's liquid on the racetrack there. He's got a motor going. Or a gearbox, perhaps, on the radio, we understand. And there's fluid on the racetrack.
He's pulling down into the acceleration lane there. Oh, and the rear's just completely locked up. Oh my God, that could have been so much worse for Will Power.
Well, under caution, fluid pouring from the back of Will Power's car. We are under caution. Once again, it's looking to escape. It would have been horrible.
Will Power with a spin down on the apron of turn 1 as he was trying to get onto that access road, getting out of harm's way after some leakage coming out from underneath the car appeared to be oily and under caution. Now for the third time in today's Indianapolis 500. We're almost halfway home in the 500, just about 6 laps shy of halfway. And as the caution flag waves, Scott Dixon is your race leader with Alex Palou in second, Felix Rosenquist third, David Malukas fourth, Joseph Newgarden in fifth, Scott McLaughlin sixth, Connor Daly in seventh, Pato Ward eighth, Marcus Ericsson ninth, and Kiffin Simpson rounding out our current top 10. Again, long ways to go yet in today's race. We're into Buxton fawning over Dixon's 6 championships. Just clarifying the series versus 500 wins. Yeah, I know. I just made a mistake because I think I said that he was a 7-time champ. I get what you were getting at. But in you saying that, I think I messed up my speech from a little bit ago. I definitely apologize for that. Again, live commentary coverage for the Indianapolis 500 will be ongoing. There is potential weather looming into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This track does not have lights. And with the Coca-Cola 600 coming up a little later, we're on a little bit of a time window to finish this stream if we are under any kind of a rain delay, unfortunately. We'll have to opt out of the rest of this stream. But we'll worry about that if that time comes. We will get past halfway pretty easily, and that will make this race official. That is without a doubt going to happen. And again, this is the third caution of the race so far today.
Speedway,
Pit road is open.
On pit lane. Already the track under caution. Smoke billowing from the rear of his ECR car. And it is a retirement once again for Alexander Rossi and ECR. You will remember he's in the backup car. His hand and his foot bolted together after an accident earlier in the week, not even making it as far as his own pit stand. The Andretti team helping him out. And there is something of a lovely irony there, that he now sits with the crew on Carl Kirkwood's car now, and Brian Herter on the pit stand, who called him to his first Indy 500 victory exactly 10 years ago. Fluid from Will Power's gearbox failure on the warm-up lane, fluid from the stricken car of Alex Rossi in the pit box of Kyle Kirkwood. There's all sorts of madness unfolding here. Meanwhile, the man himself rushing back to the bus. There's cheers during driver intros. Fans appreciate a driver who's willing to fight his way through anything to compete in the 500. Bossing out with a fire, his team boss Ed Carpenter out with a wreck, but Christian Rasmussen remains on track, is up to 15th place and has more fuel on board his car than the leaders. There's still a chance for the Sultan of Sketch.
Well, the benefit to Christian Rasmussen by having more fuel on board is when the pits do open and everybody more likely is going to come in here, it's a little less fill time for Christian Rasmussen. Normally, you're waiting on fuel in one of these Indy 500 pit stops. If he can just shave a half a second less being plugged into fuel, James, it can make up for his team. It can mean several positions on pit lane. He is the lone ECR representative now after Ed Carpenter's crash and what we just saw from Rossi. So this whole organization that's invested millions into better performance rests with Rasmussen.
Particularly now, for all these laps under caution, it means everybody gets to stretch out their fuel mileage, everybody gets closer towards that magical 101 lap number, beyond where their pit window would normally open. And for everybody who is going to naturally stop later, it extends theirs as well. And as the rain continues to make its way towards the track, will find themselves in the premium positions. If, and it's only an if because there's no guarantee, that rain arrives.
Guys, what I'm looking at more is, are these guys going to make it on fuel? They're keeping pit lane closed until it fixed, but some of these numbers, you look at 62 was the last time below pit, you're going to run out of fuel at some point if they're not careful.
Let's hear what Alex Palou, defending race winner, is going to do for strategy.
We're a little behind on fuel there compared to Scott. Yeah, we can really that way on there. Like deep freezer, we get everything you need.
Yeah, so there you go. We talked about it earlier as Felix was in third. That's kind of the prime position. You can see the front two battling back and forth, taking that extra fuel of having to lead laps. But Felix did a great job sitting there, letting those two dance it out. Dixon get close to the pace car even to try to control the draft and then save fuel. But we're hearing now that the pits will be open.
The draft even under caution.
Out for 35 laps. That's right at the max end of a full stint.
How many will pit? Will those who are right on the limit of being able to extend, will they take this opportunity to pit?
They might be studying the weather and say, hey, if we just hang out and skip this pit stop, maybe we luck into something. But I think it's way too much of the risk. I don't think there's much rain. Maybe a little of a sprinkle, but I don't think you can count on that. This is going to be a huge battle. Ganassi, Penske, Iron Racing, all battling for the lead here on this stop.
Battle of the pit crews. Dixon Palou, Rosenqvist, Lucas, Newgarden. That's your top five. Eyes on those positions. See who makes them up as the cars roll down onto pit lane and come towards Georgia Hennebury.
So many variables that make pit stops here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway so challenging. One of them is clean in and clean out. Well, David Malukas doesn't have to go around Ed Carpenter anymore, so he has a clean in. We'll do the stops. Race car. No one else seems to be having. He so has a clean out, which is strategic from that. I told the strategist for Scott Dixon a quick stop for Dixon. He told him, we are racing below. We are not racing the weather. Low, quick stop as well. He saw Dixon coming. He'll come out second.
Dixon, Palou, Lucas. It's 2 Ganassis, 3 Penskes.
All right, headed to commercial. break under caution in the Indianapolis 500, our third yellow of the day after Will Power having some leakage coming out from underneath his race car, then spinning on the access road in turn 1 as he got down out of the way of the natural racing line. The speedy dry being put down on the racetrack down in the inside lane of that front stretch headed towards turn 1, and then obviously they had to get it fixed on the exit of the pit lane so that way they could actually open pit road for these teams like they did moments ago. So we should be back to racing here shortly, and when we do get back to racing, it'll be Scott Dixon back in the lead yet again. Alex Palou second, Joseph Newgarden third, David Malukas in fourth, Scott McLaughlin in fifth, and Pato O'Ward will round out the top 6 spots. And we'll be halfway home this time by at the start-finish line. We'll have 100 laps complete out of 200, so this race will be deemed official if we were to see rain at any point this afternoon. Saw 2 short races already this weekend. Between the truck race earlier this morning in Charlotte and the O'Reilly race rain shortened last night there as well. So halfway home again, this time by at the line. Yeah, just awaiting them to come back from commercial once more. And once they do so, I'll let you listen into more of the broadcast while we're still under caution at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Couple pit stops out to make it to the end of our scheduled distance of 200 laps today. At least 2, if not 3 more stops, depending on how many more cautions we see the rest of this race.
3 of today's drivers engaged. Interactive sessions covering racing, the history of the Indy 500s, and introductory STEM activities. Because Joseph Newgarden had so much to do with the kids from Arthur C. Newby Elementary. Gallagher is proud to be the trusted insurance broker and risk manager of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NTT IndyCar Series, and Team Penske. Joseph Newgarden, never not competitive, even against kids.
Yeah.
About that. For most lead changes, top 5 of all time, including today. 45 so far. And we are now at half distance, 100 laps completed. When we complete 101, if the rain comes. James, you got any friends at Terre Haute?
You know what I do, actually? I have a friend in Terre Haute who just recently sent me a message saying they never had any rain, the clouds have broken, and the sun is shining. So I'm looking for that little bit of blue sky to come above the speedway in about 20-25 minutes here, T-Bell.
That'd be a game changer in terms of track temperature. A whole curveball for this field. If the sun comes out, the track temp shoots upwards quickly.
And I do believe that Chip Ganassi Racing thinks the same thing, and that's why you heard Barry Wanzer say, we're racing Dixon, we're not racing the rain, to his driver Alex Palou. And when you're on board with Dixon there, you could hear him clutching and coasting, just trying to save as much fuel as he possibly can. As a few of the other cars in the back of the field come in just to top off on fuel, maybe give themselves a little bit more options later in the race. We saw Carl Kirkwood earlier, one of the fastest guys from the open tests. Heard some radio from him as well. He's up to 11. Let's listen in again.
Okay, so we're tracking rain currently just away. Quick racing. Racing, of course, of racing. I get to 500 miles.
Well, mixed reports coming from the 27th stand and from Terre Haute.
Who do you trust? Brian Herter or James's anonymous friend in Terre Haute? We'll find out.
Caution continues here at Indy with the cleanup from the willpower caution lengthening out quite a bit longer than what even I anticipated there. We've been under yellow for nearly 10 consecutive laps now, as we are down under 100 laps to go, which means we are past the halfway mark in this year's Indianapolis 500. Live commentary coverage obviously continues to go on. We'll take a quick break and get back into the action. So again, lots of racing still to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in this year's Indianapolis 500. Presented here live on KRC. Quite a few lead changes in this race already. 44 of them in just over half of the race. 254 on-track passes and counting, and 8 different drivers have led at least one lap, with the average race speed at 169 miles per hour. 3 cautions so far through the first half. Our race analysis. Alex Palou, the pole sitter, I believe, has led the most laps of this race so far today, as we'll look to see if he can hold on and go for back-to-back Indy 500 victories. While winning last year's race, he did start on the pole for this year's, and he is currently in the second place position with all those laps led. Doing pretty well for himself.
Right in half. 110 running.
Back in Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 110 runnings in this fabled race. 109 winners in the book. The 110th about to be written. We're halfway home in 2026. Back home again in Indiana. Scott Dixon leads from Alex Palou. David Maluk has made it off fifth, playing third from Newgarden and McLaughlin. Pato Woodward is up to sixth. Rosenquist, Ericsson, Daly, and up into the top 10 for the first time today. Marcus Armstrong. That's your top 10 as it stands. All have stopped between laps 97 and laps 100. We run lap 103. If we get a torrential downpour now, result will stand. And we are getting conflicting sort of reports from around the track of whether we have a slight sprinkling, potentially at the north end of the circuit. Potentially a couple of little spots on pit lane, but nothing bad enough yet to call a cessation or a pausing of this race.
I was just trying to look up Scott Dixon's arrow screen there if he saw any sort of sprinkles. And the thing is, the track has spotters all the way around, not just the track itself, the property in general, to give race control a heads up, hopefully before you even see it.
I see some here. Newgarden hinge. Just look on the left side. You can see some beads of moisture. They're starting to get bigger. We are in official race distance land right now. 104 laps complete.
But if you look at the radar, these look like passing showers. I wouldn't call them a shower. It is a light sprinkling right now. We do hear reports that it's being seen on pit lane as well. But if we can ride this out for a few more laps, it's not like we've lost the track. We don't have to get track dryers out there. We can hopefully get back to racing here pretty soon.
You couldn't even call it drizzle at the moment. It's just very light spots of rain at certain points of this circuit.
But when you're oval racing at 220 miles an hour, 0 spots of rain are acceptable. And IndyCar super, super diligent about making sure track conditions are perfect and are safe
Yes.
for our drivers before we go green again. As a driver, it's so tough in this situation. You just want to get back to racing. The race had kind of finally got into a nice rhythm after those early cautions. People were finding their groove, finding their feeding. But now you're just driving around under caution, trying to save fuel, not knowing how long it's going to be before you get racing again. One man who will be eager to get back to racing, where he started today 23rd, currently finds himself running for his third win.
Gonna go get another water for the moment.
And Joseph Newgarden was not even supposed to be a race car driver. He was a baseball and a basketball player as a kid, but he always had his eye on racing. But his parents wouldn't let him get a go-kart, so he talked them into a scooter at 11 years old. And beating the neighborhood kids wasn't just enough. You know Joseph Newgarden. So he started searching out proper events, found a sanctioned series. Family would travel from Nashville to the West Coast and started winning big events. So then they approved the go-kart when he was 13 years old, which is way later than almost everyone else here started racing. 3 years later, he was driving race cars. Today, he is trying to win the Indy 500 for the third time in 4 years.
We sit on the foot with Joseph Newgarden, cars being brought back to pit lane. You'll be able to see the flashing monitors on the side of the track. We are under red flag conditions here. The Indianapolis 500 for rain on track. And who leads? Sir Scott Dixon.
It's kind of similar to what ended up happening yesterday with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, where they barely got to the advertised halfway distance, which I guess technically would have been the end of stage 2 in the O'Reilly Series race yesterday, which would have been lap 90. And when they got to that point, that was it. They were able to call the race for rain. They kind of ran around under caution. And here today, we got a little bit past halfway, and now we're under a red flag condition. I don't think there were any reports of rain until about lap 102 or 103 while we were still under yellow, and then we ran a couple more laps before ultimately bringing all the cars onto pit road. We'll have to wait to see if covers are going to end up going on the race cars at all. And if that is the case, what is going to happen with this year's Indy 500? Is this it? And is Scott Dixon, who has had a lot of bad luck in this race in recent years, going to have the best of luck to potentially win what could be one of the shortest Indy 500s of all time? So caution initially was for Will Power, leaking some fluid on the racetrack and then spinning on the access road of turn 1, and now we are here. No live commentary for the Coke 600 tonight. So with that being said, I am going to have a cutoff time here depending on what goes on. If they lose the racetrack, I'm not going to be able to stream because it's going to take well over an hour to dry the track whenever it's done raining. So just waiting to see what the holdup is. Because I'm going to have to leave here sometime between 3:30 and 4. So I'm really hoping to get back to racing before long. Red flag conditions in the Indianapolis 500. It's very, very unfortunate. With no lights at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and knowing how long it takes to get the track dry, I think if they completely lose the racetrack, they would probably have to have a rainstorm stop by, I'd say, about 5 p.m. Eastern today. I'm definitely not going to be able to hold off that long.
So far in 20 minutes. The history of this great team. First win. Indy for Pablo Montoya in 2000. Dario Franchitti, two-time winner 2010, 2012, 6 Indy 500 wins. 1,807 laps led.
Most recent one is Ericsson, 22. Hello. In 25. There is your race leader, Scott Dixon, 106 laps completed, under red flag for the time being. As we saw when we went to commercial break, his wife, Emma, getting excited about prospects. Well, we had a little while ago as well, saying, I'm sure I can see lightning. They absolutely need to cancel the race. She knows, she's been in this game and around this sport long enough to know that if they pull it now, her man will be declared the race winner.
Seems pretty optimistic, but let's go to the man in the cockpit here, see if we can dial up Scotty D. Hey, Scott, it's Townsend up in the Fox Sports booth. You copy?
Yeah, I heard you, Mike.
Hey, bud, we just saw your lovely wife Emma's been selling the whole paddock that it's raining and there's lightning in the area, but might be a little optimistic. It looks like probably going to go back racing here. What's it like for you in the cockpit right now? On that green flag sequence to leap up in the running orders. Anything you know you did particularly well in that sequence? I mean, you really nailed it on the green flag stop. Correct. Last time. It's cold as ever.
I like what he was saying about it, though. Just the pace was going too slow. That's 22 years of experience here at the Speedway. Just knowing, like, no, hey guys, I know the game you're trying to play, but there's a better way to do it. Let's get up front. Let's get that pace going a little bit.
Well, we've heard from Scott. Let's hear from one person, I think, within the Indianapolis Motor Speedway who doesn't want this race to restart.
And that is Emma Davies Dixon. Emma, you've been in this situation many times all the years you guys have raced here. What is this moment like for you? As Will just said, you're probably the one person that doesn't want to see racing resume.
No, truly. I was just saying that I thought I spotted lightning, if I'm honest. I think they should clear these stands, get everybody home, call the race. But no, Jamie, we've been here so many times before. I actually feel calmer than I have in the past, because I know how quickly things can change, and I'm just trying to enjoy the moment. I just said to the team guys, I won't lie though, look how many times we've nearly got our second win. A good 8 or 9 times. And if it happens today, I'm going to be so unhinged. Don't quite know what I'm going to do. I just want it so bad. And if it is down to Scott and Palau, I know Scott will fight to the end. It will be a gladiator fight. He's so ready for it to go his way. It should have gone our way so many times, and things happen, but he will fight to the end.
Well, we wish you luck. I have a feeling we're going back racing now.
Thank you, Jamie.
Like the sound of that, a fight to the bitter end between teammates and 2 drivers. Scott, who is inarguably on the list of the all-time greats. Alex Palou, who in recent years we have begun to debate as being potentially one of the all-time greats.
We'll take a look back to 2008 when Scott did win this race. This was an absolutely dominant performance all month long in a season that was completely dominated by this guy. I think 6 wins on the year, took a championship as well. Stop him. He was able to start up front, drive away from the field, really just control it all day long. And as you've heard, as Emma said, as everybody knows, Scott has come close so many times, 5 podiums here at the 500. Some absolute heartbreaking near misses in the last 5-6 years. No one's due another win at the Speedway, but this guy certainly earned it.
The weird thing about these red flag periods as a driver is It's been long enough now that your heart rate starts to slow. You really start to relax. You sometimes even get a little bit sleepy, like, wow, I didn't realize what I've been through. It's 100 laps of the Indy 500 already. Maybe you start to get a little hungry. You start to think a little bit distracted sometimes with these long delays, and you wait and wait and wait until your team manager comes on the radio and says, okay, we're going to go back to green. And then all of a sudden you get that flood of adrenaline comes back as you rack to do it again.
Well, Scott Dixon may have won the Indy 250. But we still got half this race left to go.
These guys didn't slow down.
And they know there's a race.
So still red flag persists at the Indianapolis 500 in a standstill. No covers have gone on the race cars to this point with a slight drizzle, just enough so that officials think that it is safer to bring the teams onto pit lane and not continue the race under a caution flag situation. I think they definitely couldn't go green now. I'm assuming they didn't completely lose the track, but they wanted to get jet dryers out there just in case something was to happen. Via cars having issues with a wet racetrack. We kind of saw that with cool tires last year in the Indy 500 prior to the start of the race, and maybe that could have played into effect as to what happened here with the call and bringing the cars onto pit road. I'm just going to have to wait this out. Lap 106. No radar indicated rain. No umbrella. Yeah, it's just a mist. Mist doesn't really pick up on the radar. I found that out from when I went to Michigan a couple of years ago, and it was nothing but mist for a day. Then we went back at like 12:30 in the afternoon to finish the race up the next day. After not quite getting to the end of stage 2 or halfway, they were like 14 laps shy, so they had to finish the race on Monday. And that was odd going back to the track because then the race was over in like 90 minutes. I was like, well, that was quick. Heading back home already. Another weather band moving in. Yeah, there's more like actual rain behind this. That's the scary part.
Ryan Hunter Ray and Catherine Blake trashed the second, but Ed Carpenter trashed on the restart the third just now for rain. That rain, as we understand, has stopped. The track is being dried, and we are not far, folks, from having engines refired.
Okay, there we go.
Race restarted.
That's positive.
Cannot wait. It is a Ganassi 1-2. Scott Dixon versus Alex Palou. Each of them one-time winners of this great race. Behind the three Penske's of David Malukas, Joseph Newgarden, and Scott McLaughlin. Chateau Award sits sixth. Then Rosenquist merits himself an Indy 500 winner, Daly and Armstrong. That is a hell of a strong top 10 to get this race back up and underway.
Getting ready to refire engines here.
The command has been given. We are getting back to racing.
There we go. Engine set fired, so we're going to be back to caution.
For the 110th running of the greatest spectacle in racing.
And T-Bell, this is that moment you were just talking about, maybe nodding off a little bit in the race car. Remember, you're all warm and cozy in there. You're sitting in a custom molded seat. Everything. You got a helmet on. It's almost like a pillow wrapping around your head. So easy to start nodding off when you get that crash of adrenaline stopping. And now all of a sudden you get, hey man, 60 seconds, so we're going racing again. And you got to perk up real quick.
Yeah, same holds true for the wives and girlfriends and all the family members of these drivers who now get to watch their driver do his thing. As they'll get a warm-up lap here, and this you got to reset, you've got to recalibrate. Think about everything that you felt 20 minutes ago with your race car, the adjustments that you made to optimize things. Head down, cinch the belts. Let's finish this off.
And Townsend, you just spoke to Scott Dixon. What does it say about the calm behind that wheel, that in leading this thing, even under caution, that he was willing to talk, willing to be that open, and that calm about what lies ahead of him right now?
That guy's been doing it such a long time, and he also knows, hey, somebody I can trust at least maybe until the last lap in Alex Palou right behind me. I'm curious, how aggressive does Team Penske get right now on this restart? Are they going to be happy to continue to run third, fourth, and fifth?
And what of David Malukas hunting today for his first ever IndyCar win? His first ever win, naturally, at the Brickyard. Georgia's downstairs.
Longtime crew chief turned strategist, Travis Law, your first Indianapolis 500 calling strategy. I want to say that's an exciting opportunity, but now running third at the biggest and greatest spectacle in racing. What's going through your head, and what are you telling Davey?
Yeah, really, we're on strategy right now. That's kind of our plan, to be third at this point, halfway through the race. Dave's done a great job of managing the cars around him. Drew always had a good pit stop on the last one, picking up another one. So I'd say we're on target where we want to be right now.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
There is David Malukas. And I think that the weight of responsibility of this great team rests on his young shoulders, leading in that 12 car, which for so many years belonged to Will Power, stepping into that seat. He has to contend with two of the fastest teammates of any team in IndyCar. Scott McLaughlin sits fifth. In first, it's Joseph Newgarden, Kevin.
And he really wants to get to the next pit stop and just survive. I don't expect him to really be able to attack. He just said during this red flag, I was really going to struggle to fight. The car has a lot of wash right now. I'm really just out of range and can't use the jacker. So they are going to take the time needed to make a front wing adjustment on the next stop. And we are in range to do it on 2 more stops, but they have to get to about lap 133, and the leaders would like to go further than that to be able to do it on 2 more.
One of the fastest drivers of this month of May so far, Felix Rosenquist, became a father 2 weeks ago. He sits in the top 10, has looked brilliant all day. One of his strategy.
Only will be a short time.
Everything back in line. I mean, again, you've been sitting in pit lane. You kind of got out of that rhythm, out of that mindset, out of the zone, which as an athlete is such a difficult thing to be able to just switch back on in a few pace laps. So a couple reminders, prompts from the pit lane of what to do, where to put your tools, make sure your hybrid is charged. And I'm looking at the flag stand out of the window. Aaron Likens, chief flagger, he's holding a furled up green flag, which tells me we might be getting the one to go this time by. I'm looking just outside the top 10, guys. It's got work to do in this second half of the race to get themselves up and into contention. I'm looking at the likes of Kirkwood in 11th, Ferrucci in 12th, Elio Castroneves on the run for 5 is 16th, Takuma Sato, a 2-time winner, is 17th, and Rasmussen again dropped places in those last roll pit stops. He will run off 18th.
It's a great point, Will, because with 2 pit stops to go, if you're south of about 10th position right now, you're thinking, okay, restart, big opportunity. If I want to be in the mix, I'm going to go for it as Graham Rahal makes a strategic stop, topping up with fuel here on lap 109. But mid-pack, these restarts can get nuts.
Scott Dixon will bring us back to green. In a glittering and storied career, quite incredibly, just the one Indy 500 win to his name. It's not an easy thing, never a foregone conclusion to win at the Indy 500. Dixon will lead his teammate Alex Palou away. We're in the...
All right, so here we go for Ganassi. It's going to be Scott Dixon and Alex Palou. 1-2 for the restart with Dixon in the lead. Penske running 3rd through 5th right now with Malukas, Newgarden, and McLaughlin as we head for the green following the short red flag for rain. Green flag is back in the air at Indy. Palou going to the outside and will take the lead into the first turn. Malukas into second place. And Dixon falls out of the lead, and he is going backwards in a hurry. He now is in 4th place as Joseph Newgarden moves into a podium slot. And now for the lead on the back straight. David Malukas well clear before getting into turn 3 on Alex Palou. And the first Penske to lead today is going to be Malukas, who started on the front row with Alex Palou. 3rd place starting position exactly, and now leads as Scott Dixon still goes backwards and is in 5th place and just, again, struggling mightily right now. At the Art of Bricks, leading, it's Malukas, one of the younger drivers in the field. In his first year with Penske, and of course, Roger Penske now owning the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So be a huge win for this team and for the new driver of that team. Connor Daly into 3rd place on the outside into turn 3, and Joseph Newgarden will surrender that position. Daly trying to get the crowd up on their feet here at Indianapolis. Crowd favorite year in and year out, just the hometown alone for Connor Daly. Alex Palou leads the way. Up out of turn 2, Malukas has a huge closing rate, and he's not going to wait till the end of the straightaway to try to make this pass on Palou. He's going to get by him well before the entry to turn 3. Enough so that he got around him that fast that I think there's going to be a good opportunity. Alex Palou is going to take the lead back down into turn 1. He'll close the gap off turn 4 down the front stretch, and Connor Daly trying to do the same on Alex Palou in the 10. Top 3 tightly nose to tail into the first turn, but no positions will be moved around this time. David Malukas out in front for the second different time. Alex Palou trailing. Into turns 3 and 4. Long ways to go in the Indianapolis 500 yet, even though we have just reached the halfway mark. Alex Palou will lead this time by at the start-finish line on the inside, and he's clear into the first turn on Malukas. Another lead change. And we'll see if Malukas can get him back, because when Palou has taken the lead from him, Malukas has gotten him back on the back straightaway the last 2 times. Trying to do it for a third, and he will. And well clear into the first turn. Palou will have to back off a bit on corner entry, give a little space so he can help the turn in the race car, and then proceed in the draft on the following straightaway to try to bridge that gap. Get back at Malukas again. The Fox graphic has 10 laps since the last pit stop. It's a little more than that because nobody took any fuel or tires during the last caution. At the end of it, I should say, when everybody was on pit road, and they were on pit road because of rain. Just a slight mist. Got the jet dryers on the track quickly before the track was lost. And we were probably only on a red flag standby for about 15 minutes or so. Following the willpower incident. Alex Palou was looking to the outside into the first turn for the lead. Not going to get it. And David Malukas still holds on this time by. Caution on the speedway.
And Malukas was leading as he went back to yellow. So it's Malukas.
Fourth caution.
Malukas, Palou, Daly and Newgarden, Dixon, Rosenquist, McLaughlin on board, Ericsson and Armstrong back under the race car, back on the caution. Race continues with 116 of 200 laps completed.
Under caution again. I think there's another slight mist on the racetrack because I'm not sure exactly what else the reasoning for this caution would be. Lap 117, our 4th yellow of the day. This one is not an incident this time, though. So we got the engines refired. We were racing for about 7 or 8 laps, and then we're back under the caution flag period again. Positions have changed. Scott Dixon, who was leading at halfway when the caution for rain initially happened, or I should say the caution prolonged for rain after the Will Power incident, Dixon fell to 5th on the restart before finally settling in. David Malukas goes from 3rd to 1st to take the lead. He went back and forth with Pelot during that last green flag run, only for Malukas to be out in front with more slight rain. Now, again, if we lose the racetrack, they can call this race. They did not lose the racetrack the first time. We had, again, about a 15-minute red flag, if that, and then we went back to racing again. We'll see what will happen this time, and hopefully the rain does not persist. We'll take another break. Listening live on KRC as our full flag-to-flag coverage of the 110th Indy 500 continues. Good chunk of this race still to go. We're only a couple laps away from 300 miles complete out of 500. Once we get to lap 120, that will be mile 300 being complete 2 laps from now. Our leaderboard's not showing anybody coming to pit road this time by, so that tells me the rain is not that heavy, at least yet. We'll have to wait for the broadcast to come back from commercial to kind of gauge ourselves with our own eyes exactly what is going on.
Big move sponsored by Pods, and it was on this restart after a little pause for rain, where it all went off on the run down into turn 1. Dixon lost the lead to Pelot, but this went with him. It's Daly. It's again on the restart, running wide through 1, making up those positions and enthralling this 300,000 plus strong crowd every inch of the way. Love this Top Gun cam on board. The Pennzoil machine of Scott McLaughlin. You'll see it cruising around in 6th gear. Minimal throttle usage, try to save as much fuel as you can. Well, in comes Christian Lundgaard, Jack Harvey, Kevin Simpson is in, Graham Rahal is in, Jacob Abel is in. Jamie, down to you.
Well, I know we were under caution for some weather, but I'll tell you, there isn't a single drop down here on pit lane. And I want to give you a quick update. The biggest mover since that last restart, Connor Daly, up 6 spots. He went on kill mode, up to 3rd. And I checked with the team. He had talked about his left side mirror got knocked off by the fueler when they made that stop. Well, they were able to repair it, so he's got vision, he's got speed.
Well, there we go. Daly running in the top 3. This, without a shadow of a doubt, the most consistent, impressive, and overall, I'd say, fastest race car he may ever have had at the Indianapolis 500. And that's saying something. He's led 83 laps of this race coming into today. But again, this is one of those drivers that really stood out throughout practice week of being comfortable running in traffic, being able to make moves further down in line than just in the top 2 or 3. I know he wasn't happy after Harv Day. He said his car was not good, suffered some damage in that Monday practice crash, driving over debris from Warren and Rossi's car, but it looks like the number 23 is plugged up today.
He complained of understeer earlier in the race, but they made the wing change, and he looked awfully fierce on that restart.
Saw himself on the screen's trackside, saw a little wave.
Still under caution with 80 laps to go. 300 miles complete out of 500 in the Indianapolis 500 in 2026. David Malukas is the race leader, with Alex Pelot in 2nd, Connor Daly 3rd, Joseph Newgarden in 4th, and Scott Dixon rounding out the top 5 in 5th. A little bit of a miss yet again. The reason for the current caution period that we are under. Connor Daly running in that third place position. Indiana native, able to lead one time today. Very much in contention with one of the faster cars we've seen out of Daly in the Indy 500. Battling up at the front of the pack. See what the chat has to say about this. I did close the chat poll during the red flag since we were just past halfway. 46% of 41 votes taking somebody other than Palou, Newgarden, or Award to win the race. 29% of you taking Alex Palou. Joseph Newgarden at 22% and Award only 3% of the votes. Haven't seen him up in the top 5 much today. It's pretty much been all Ganassi and Penske for most of this afternoon. Interesting to me. Race control being supervised when independent in the car, presumably to keep any potential conflict of interest with Penske. Well, I mean, I would hope so. How it should be officiated. There should not be a conflict of interest. Get rid of the pinned message for the red flag because it's under caution at the moment, but slight mist. Just kind of waiting it out under yellow like we were earlier and just hoping for the best.
They started on the front row together. Still inseparable in the top 3 that they could join. Well, not up away. Greenwood Harvey, 27th at the moment. Kevin, what do you know?
So we've seen some come in and top off here recently. The last was on 118, and Jack Harvey was one of those. Graham Rahal, Christian Lundgaard, Kiffin Simpson, Romain Grosjean. Here's what's being discussed right now. If we keep running behind the pace car for this mist, another 18 to 20 laps of caution throughout the entirety of the race, they can get it done on one more stop. All those up at the front that effectively have pitted on lap 97 still need 2 more pit stops. So if there are cautions, those like Jack Harvey could get it done on one. They cycle to the front.
Wow.
Oh, you just never know.
How do you gamble on Indianapolis weather? It's roulette. At best case.
Best case scenario, I mean, you've got your odds are 1 in 33 coming in, and then you throw the weather in the mix, and it makes it even more complicated. But hey, I like it. If you're not in a position where your car's good enough to drive your way up through the field, you got to do something different. You're going to get beat if you just keep doing the same as the cars in front of you. You see a message from race control. Penalty for the number 18.
Passing under yellow.
So he's been moved to the back of the field. That's the first penalty we've seen in the race today. It's been phenomenally clean, actually, up to this point.
See what happened here. Looking out the back of Christian Lundgaard. That is Romain Grosjean.
Lloyd Onboard, he went to pass it coming to pit lane. It was very clearly discussed that this is still considered a yellow flag racetrack. And as such, you cannot pass. You see, the pass has already been done up here.
A little awkward because it didn't look like Lundgaard was going to pit, and then all of a sudden Lundgaard started to fade in there.
Rising on board, David Malukas, who is your leader, just cruising along. Look at how much information the drivers have on the dash. I love this shot because it gives everyone at home a little bit of insight as to what kind of info the drivers are digesting while they're racing. And what's it showing us? Everything. Everything, and it's different for every driver. Obviously, the big 6 in the middle, that's your gear. You see this green box, 95 off to the side here. That's going to be the state of charge of the hybrid system. Speed is on here. You've got things like RPM up here, weight jacker position, roll bar position. And down here, you've got some temperatures, that's tire pressures potentially. And what about the buttons? What do the drivers need when they're out there on track? I mean, the right pedal is the most important thing. But there's some buttons on the wheel that, are certainly ones you want to use. Control, that's PLC, that's a speed limiter. You've got your weight jacker buttons here to adjust all the handling of the race car. All these down here, these rotaries down here, these are different engine maps for things like fuel savings and things like that. As we sit on board with David Malukas, even large in his mirrors is Alex Palou. But in third place, one of the most impressive drivers of this month and of this day is Connor Daly. Jamie Little down on pit lane. I know you're with somebody who's going to have an awful lot to say in how this race plays out today.
That would be team owner Dennis Reinbold. He's also the strategist for Connor Daly. How about that move? 6 positions gained after that last restart. What do you think about the drive your young driver is having today?
Well, we told him to get going after that last stop. He did. He did exactly that. He took off. So we're very excited about our race car. It's great. We're trying to figure out, like everybody else, when the optimal time is to stop and when the rain's going to hit. And we're guessing like everyone else.
It's great to see you. This man keeps a team employed year-round for this one and only race. This is the 26th time he's tried to win this race.
Connor Daly had his best ever starting position for the Indianapolis 500 this year of 8th. Let's check out some radio from Kyle Kirkwood.
Right now, we're feeling like we need to take some rear wing out for you. What do you think? It'll be. That's what we'd like to do if you're comfortable with doing that. I got tools to work with. Copy that. Good answer, bud.
I do like that response from Kyle Kirkwood. I got tools to work with. They talk about trimming the rear wing. What that's going to do is remove a bit of downforce from the car. That's gripping the corners, but it's going to give him a little bit more straight line speed. As into the 1 to go, you might see some drivers peel off and top off. Anybody take it? Yeah, the 51 Jacob Abel's in. He's laps down right now. No, he's not. He's on the lead lap, and Jack Harvey topped off a few other drivers. They could do this on one more stop if they're saving fuel. Strategies. They always do at the 500, starting to play out. Malukas will take us back to green, tempering the pace. Under caution, it's now down to him as he enters turn 3 and decides when to punch it. So we'll hope to run with him.
All right, this is going to be interesting. We're going to get to the next restart lap, 126.75 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Oh, we already have a crash coming to the green in turn 4. I don't know who that was. Was that Scott McLaughlin? No, Joseph Newgarden, the other Penske Chevrolet. Crashing as we were coming to get the green. Joseph Newgarden, 2-time Indy 500 winner from just within the last few years, is going to be done.
Start passing. You do not have to wait till the start-finish line. AMR safety team is quick to the scene of the 2. Let's try and see what happened. There's Newgarden. He's under his own steam. Oh, just got onto the curb, maybe. Did that left front cross over to the fin? The inside. Watch the left front tire. Does it get there?
Oh, yeah.
It's move we've seen so many times here, Townsend. That rumble strip, that curbing on the bottom of turn 4 has caught out many drivers over the years. So easy to do. Your eyes are forward, but that's a big hit. Big hit. Oftentimes we see this out of a rookie, Will. And Newgarden just trying to get as much clean air to the inside, to the low side for his front wing, and he just took too much. On board here from Dixon. Oh, no one's going to react. If you just slam on your brakes, if you're Scott Dixon in that moment, you're going to spin around right with him. This on board with Newgarden. That is how easily it's done and how quickly it's over. From back-to-back victories to back-to-back DNFs for Joseph Newgarden. Such a rare mistake from this guy. 2-time champion, 2-time 500 winner. One of the best. And his racecraft today has been utterly sublime. Guys, when you run over that rumble strip, is it simply a case of that rumble strip unsettling the car? Or because we've had a little bit of moisture in the air, a little bit of rain, can that also sort of pull in the curving?
They're so deceiving because you get to that rumble strip and the camber flattens out there. So the banking of the track goes away. You touch that and it weight jacks the car as Ashley Newgarden, Joseph's wife, just can't believe it. What a day we've had, James, with the likes of Ryan Hunter-Reay making a mistake on his own, a former winner. Newgarden, of course, here right now on the restart coming out of turn 4, and the crew in disbelief. That's Malukas' guys.
Yeah, it just shows you guys this racetrack is so tricky. This race has to be respected. Doesn't matter what you've accomplished here, it can fight back. It giveth and it taketh away. 2 wins to 2 DNFs for one of the great drivers of this legendary race. Joseph Newgarden is out of the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Newgarden done for the evening, and very quickly at that, and that's now going to make a couple of former Indy 500 winners out of this race here today. 4 drivers that have won this race before are out, counting Newgarden. Will Power, Alex Rossi, and Ryan Hunter-Reay also out. And we're down to 27 cars who started the race that are, at this point, already DNF'd. Jacob Abel a lap down in 27, so 26 cars out of the 33 that started will remain on the lead lap. No free pass for being the first car lap down in this series like we do see in NASCAR, so that's going to be tough to get that lap back. Race leader under the caution, David Malukas, with Alex Palou in second, Connor Daly third, Scott Dixon fourth, Felix Rosenquist in fifth, Scott McLaughlin sixth, Pato O'Ward in seventh, Marcus Armstrong in eighth, Marcus Ericsson ninth, and Santino Ferrucci rounding out the top 10, Kyle Kirkwood in 11th, Helio Castroneves in 12th, Renus VK in 13th, Christian Rasmussen 14th, Nolan Siegel 15th, Daniel Hauger in 16th, Takuma Sato 17th, Kyle Collette in 18th, Stingray Robb 19th, Kiffin Simpson in 20th, Lewis Foster in 21st, Mick Schumacher in 22nd, Christian Lundgaard 23rd, Graham Rahal 24th, Jack Harvey 25th, Roman Grosjean in 26th, Jacob Abel 27th, a lap down. And again, Joseph Newgarden just taken out of the race. Crash on the restart as they were coming to get the green in turn 4. Got the left side tires down on the curbing. Before that, Will Power exited from the race with a mechanical issue and a spin. He is in 29th, Alex Rossi 30th, Ed Carpenter 31st, Ryan Hunter-Reay 32nd, and Catherine Legge 33rd.
Fueled by Poet. Subscribe to Speed on Fox on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast. Now, bring scenes down turn for the AMR safety team. On site as they always are, that is the remains of Joseph Newgarden's number 2, Michelle Chevrolet. Here we're replaying the incident.
Man, that's a big hit, even not being up to speed yet. My goodness.
Taken down as a precaution. Frustration for his fans, but I think we saw Joseph walking from his wreck and that's good to see. Joseph refusing the stretcher and instead walking to the ambulance under his own steam. That wreck was a good news situation, bad news situation in terms of they weren't going full speed yet. It was just a restart. They were getting up to speed, but he spun around so much that he went into the wall almost head on, almost completely forwards, and that's a bad angle to hit in an Indy car at this place.
Certainly is. You see the shell car
Any car,
taken
really.
away. Newgarden taken to the infield care center. Let's take another look here at the impact once again. And this is what you were talking about, James. Spins almost 360 degrees. And a heavy left front corner impact there. Exactly the kind of incident that the Shields device that all the drivers wear was designed to kind of help fortify the driver's head and neck in a frontal impact like that. You see the new aero pop-up devices, those flaps pop up when the car goes backwards. Those designed to try to keep the race car on the ground when it's going backwards at over 100 miles an hour.
Did a great job there. You saw momentum as it was starting to go up and then comes back down. Yeah, you can see Joseph looking almost straight at the wall when he hits. That's a tremendous impact.
Big hit.
Now viewed from behind of those 4 neon yellow rectangles that popped up. The number of cars actually from last year that we saw grab air when they crashed violently at the speedway. This year, not a single one. That has really kept it down, and incredibly fortunately so, but great work from Delara, from IndyCar, to come up with those modifications and to keep our drivers. Disappointing end to the day for the New Gardens. What might have been on the run for 3 in 4 years. It's only been done once before in history, and it will stay once before in history. We talk a lot about the drivers' preparation and commitment to this race, same for the crews, but the families are just the same. I mean, the disappointment there and Ashley's body language, you could see it. A partner of any driver has to commit to that lifestyle of wanting to win races, wanting to win the Indy 500. And with the crash cleaned up, we now have pit lane open and some of the leaders diving in. You talk about committing. Big commitment here from the likes of Ericsson. Big split, guys. This is where it gets fascinating. Townsend awarded Rosenquist, and I think I saw she maybe down there on pit lane as well. Yeah, so there's Jack Harvey. These drivers thinking they can do it, knowing they can do it in one more stop, Kevin.
So I know what Jack Harvey was told is do the opposite. If the leaders come in, stay out. If they don't come in, you're going to come in. But it was a little mixed. Did we have any of the leaders? We're about 3 laps away from where you could have made it home on one more stop on this. The way this is trending, don't you have to gamble that there's going to be more caution? I think those that just stopped here have a great chance of being able to do it only one more stop.
It's a great call, Kevin. Great call. Based on the race we've seen, guys, if I were on another caution coming, I like this call. Got to roll the dice.
Yeah, Pato Award with a great stop. I think he got ahead of Felix Rosenquist. So Pato Award is the lead car on the ultimate strategy. He sits 13th right now. And Kevin, I think you're right. Pato Award should be able to make it home on one more stop. The 12 cars in front of him would have to stop twice, depending on cautions, depending on rain, so many variables that are outside everyone's control.
Is this way the right one? Is this where the day turns for McLaren? The 50th anniversary of their last win at the Indianapolis 500. But they are calling unfinished business. Pato O'Ward may just have put himself in a position to win this race. O'Ward will restart 13th behind him, Rosenquist and Armstrong. The SR duo, then VK.
And you heard Pato Award's strategist, Nick Snyder, tell him, hey, we might be in a situation where we can make it on one more. So be smart with saving fuel here. As Pato Award downshifts now, warms his tires. They know they're coming back to green. James, going to be fascinating down the stretch as this plays out.
It certainly is, guys. This is going to be a pivotal moment. We're going to look back on this in a little bit as Zach Brown looks forward to this restart and what the next 69 laps have in store in this year's 500. It's going to be fun. Is Formula One team racing later today, but there is nowhere on this earth Zach Brown would rather be than here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This race means more to him than any other.
All right, set for another restart. I've had a couple cautions coming to the green or just getting past the green flag today with now Joseph Newgarden and Ed Carpenter a little earlier on in the first half of the race. Green flag is in the air as we are less than 70 laps to go in the Indy 500. 3 wide for the lead now for second place. Nearly 4 wide into the first turn as they go for second. And coming out with the race lead, it is Connor Daly, Indiana native, out in front of Mike McLaughlin, or not Mike McLaughlin, that's NASCAR. Scott McLaughlin, of course, here in IndyCar. And McLaughlin will look for his first lead of the race now down the back straight. And he will bypass Connor Daly. A little help from his teammate David Malukas trying to follow in. Not a good restart for Malukas as he was caught napping just like Scott Dixon was the restart before that. Losing several positions. Connor Daly gonna battle back for the lead on the front stretch at Indianapolis and take it away. Big block to the outside on Alex Palou, who had a run trying to get by second place Scott McLaughlin. He has to hold on to third. And I think McLaughlin might have even lifted a little bit extra into turn one, knowing he was about to be side by side into the corner and trying not to wreck alongside defending race winner Alex Palou. Scott Dixon has rebounded back into fourth place after falling to sixth the restart before. And as they come for the front stretch at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, now 65 laps to go, and Palou going for the lead back to the inside. A large number of lead changes despite the rain delays that we have had in this race today. 52 lead changes in a race that is only 136 laps out of 200 old. It has been a very competitive race thus far. And with McLaughlin leading for the first time a couple of laps ago, that now puts 10 different drivers to have led at least one lap in the 110th Indy 500. Top 10 positions within 3.1 seconds of each other, very close in this long line of a draft. Another change of the lead at the start-finish line. It's Alex Palou out in front of Scott McLaughlin and Connor Daly, 1, 2, 3. Scott Dixon, 4th. Marcus Erickson rounds out the top 5 in 5th. David Malukas in 6th. Kyle Kirkwood, 7th. Kiffin Simpson in 8th. Elio Castroneves up to 9th place. First time he's broken the top 10 today. And Marcus Armstrong rounds out the top 10. Malukas just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by a 40.717 as the pace is quickened up. That was an average lap speed of 221.036 miles per hour. One more pit stop to make it to the end. Some of the field will still have to pit twice. A little bit of interesting strategy after that last caution when Joseph Newgarden came out, and that really split things up way more than what we saw even in the first half of the race with the way the first two cautions landed. So we really only saw two drivers going off the original strategy. And Connor Daly shooting back to the bottom and into the lead again on the bottom of the racetrack after picking up second on the back straight, getting to the lead on the front straight. Scott McLaughlin in second. And now instead of just two cars trading the lead back and forth, it's between the top three and all three different teams, two different manufacturers between a Penske car, the 23 of Daly, the Ganassi of Palou. Things are really heating up the closer and closer we get to the finish of this race. Things are just getting far more aggressive. Across the start-finish line on the high side this time. And now 3 wide to the outside to bypass both drivers with an even bigger run. What a move set forth by Alex Palou. McLaughlin was going to the outside on Connor Daly, who did not have a good run off turn 4. And despite McLaughlin's big run, Palou had an even bigger one, and he gets by both of them. David Malukas to third as he gets by on the front stretch the last time by on Connor Daly as well. Daly falls out of the top 3 for the first time in a while. Marcus Erickson, Scott Dixon, 5th and 6th place, ran their fastest laps of the race that last time by. So now you have drivers that are even further outside of the top 2 that are starting to run their fastest laps of the day. What a race. This has been a fun one. And things are heating up more and more and more, and the lead changes earlier might have been because of fuel savings, still could be to a certain extent, but they're racing harder now than they have all day, and obviously a lot of the top 6 have ran some of their fastest laps of the race in this stretch of this shorter green flag run. $60 laps to go last time by. Scott McLaughlin going to charge up to try to get another run after Alex Palou. Down the back straightaway. He's going to look for it to the inside. Palou will let him through. No hard contestment there by Alex Palou yet again, and it's Scott McLaughlin for what seems like the upteenth time in just the last few laps alone is now up in the lead. Slower race pace with the caution laps of this year's Indianapolis 500. Kind of going by the wayside with how fast everything is starting to change now. It's interesting to know, are we going to see the final pit stop take place under green or under caution? Probably more controlled for the front runners if it was to take place during green, I would imagine, especially those top 3 or 4 drivers that have changed the lead so much in the early going of just the second half of the race alone. "56 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500 this time by. Top 5 cars all within a second of the lead the last time by at the timing line. Alex Palou led that last lap with Scott McLaughlin now in second. David Malukas third. Connor Daly fourth. Marcus Ericsson in fifth. We're getting closer and closer to the all-time record for the most lead changes in Indianapolis 500 history. The record from 2013 is 68 lead changes. We are at 58 right now, and we still have over 50 laps to go. We are very, very well on pace. Now, the changing for the lead when we get into the final fuel run is going to be a lot harder to come by, and we're maybe not going to see quite as many lead changes when we get to that point in the race. Right now, a little bit of a different story. My Hulu app keeps kind of logging in and out consistently. That's unfortunate. Back in again. No lead change over the last couple laps. Top 5 in the running order have actually stayed the same. David Malukas building up to try to get a run going here. Can he get it done? Down to the bottom of the racetrack, going to take over second place into the first turn. Remember, he was in fourth place the way the restart settled out after a couple laps. Picked off Connor Daly once he was passed, not only from the lead, but fell back to third and had a complete loss of momentum. And he's got a major run coming this time to the front stretch on Alex Palou, the race leader. Lucas, gigantic run. He's going to clear the race leader Palou before they even get to the yard of bricks. Easily able to get down to the bottom of the racetrack is Palou. That's best for the driver getting past, that those passes end up taking place middle of the straightaway like that. So they get back in line, keep their straightaway speed up in the draft, and not really have to worry about losing more positions than the one that they just lost, because that is not what happened to Connor Daly when he had his problem earlier. And now we've got some cars headed for pit road this time by. Leaders are on their way in.
To the lead of the Indianapolis 500. The 12, the 3, Ski on to the lane, and then down to Henry. It's a good stop. It's on. They'll be able to draft, but now it's all about what can Alex Palou, Connor Daly,
How will their stops be? How aggressive will they be on the brake pedal?
All right, so the next round of pit stops ongoing. We've seen each of the top several come to pit road. Scott Dixon from about fourth or fifth place. I believe he was fifth behind Connor Daly, now leads. And he was best on fuel a little bit earlier on, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's still the case now, especially laying back as much as he did in traffic on the last restart. Starting to think, knowing it's Scott Dixon, it could have been intentional. Dixon will come to pit road this time by.
Teammates helping each other out a little bit of pass the torch. So where does blend out? Here's the. She looks for.
His tires will be colder.
All right, so David Malukas able to jump out in front of Scott McLaughlin. Cold tires going to be tough to try to hold on to the lead for Alex Palou, and here comes Malukas to the inside again. This is, I guess, not the pass for the lead now. It's actually pass for 19th, as the top 18 cars have yet to come to the pit lane, but it will be the eventual race lead once everything does cycle through. Less than 50 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. We're 3/4 of the way home. Top 6 all kind of right in line. Now top 5 is that lone car that just exited the pit lane, struggling to hang on with the leader. Scott Dixon is in to the pit lane. All right, fighting for that top spot. Kiffin Simpson out in front of the field has yet to hit pit road. Felix Rosenquist, Pato Ward just ran his fastest lap of the race in third with a 40.215. That's one of the fastest laps I've seen by anybody so far in the race today. A 223.797 mile per hour average. 47 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. The leaders that have already been into the pit lane obviously did not pit during the caution period, so that's why there's so many cars that have not yet been to pit road during this green flag run. Malukas is in 17th, the leader of those that have made their second to last stop. They cannot make it on fuel to the end from here. The drivers who pitted during the last caution, they're hoping they can make it on one more. They're going to probably need some more caution laps along the way if that strategy is to work and for them to get the race win. Back in traffic, Malukas and Palou still going back and forth. Scott McLaughlin in the mix as well. They're the front 3 cars and consistently changing positions as much as they were for the lead. Now doing that for the 17th place spot as well. And up at the front of the field, a change for the lead as Felix Rosenquist jumps out in front of Kiffin Simpson. So Simpson leads. In a back and forth battle between he and Felix Rosenquist for the leaders on the strategy of which that had pitted during the last caution. How many more laps will it be before they come to pit road again? The closer they can make it to that 30 to 35 lap to go window before making their final green flag stop, those are the drivers that are in contention to maybe make this race on one more pit stop for fuel purposes and win the Indianapolis 500 on fuel mileage alone. Strategy has won this race in the past. It would not be new. Fox headed to a commercial break right now. We'll go through the full field running order while that is the case with the alternate strategies. Felix Rosenquist leads. Kiffin Simpson in second. Pato Ward is in third. Marcus Armstrong fourth. Daniel Auger in fifth. Santino Ferrucci sixth. Renus VK seventh. Christian Lundgaard in eighth. Nolan Siegel ninth. And Takuma Sato rounds out the top 10. 11th is Kyle Collette. Roman Grosjean in 12th, Jack Harvey 13th, Graham Rahal 14th, Stingray Robb 15th, David Malukas is 16th, 17th for Alex Palou, Scott McLaughlin 18th, Connor Daly 19th, and Marcus Ericsson in 20th. Scott Dixon 21st, Kyle Kirkwood 22nd, Mick Schumacher in 23rd, Elio Castroneves in 24th, Lewis Foster 25th, Jack Abel 26th, Christian Rasmussen 27th, Joseph Newgarden 28th, Will Power 29th, and Alex Rossi in 30th. 31st, Ed Carpenter, Ryan Hunter-Reay 32nd, and Catherine Legg rounds out the 33-car field. 42 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. We'll take our second to last break here on KRC. Right, not catching up to these guys at 200 plus. That is very true. That is very true. Something's wrong with my analytics on YouTube, by the way, right now. I got, it shows that there's nobody in the chat. I don't think that that's true. Yeah, there's 40 concurrent viewers in the chat. I had to adjust the stream settings. It was saying 0 for some reason. I see you guys posting in the chat. Things are going crazy right now at Indy. I'm so glad that the rain held off. And we're able to actually try to see the finish of really the first race this weekend that could potentially see its advertised distance. I guess I shouldn't speak too soon because we still have 40 laps to go, but we're getting closer to the finish. 400 miles complete, 100 miles to go in the Indianapolis 500, this time by at the line. David Malukas, by the way, on the strategy that are trying to pit one more time to make it to the end. They definitely can't make it on fuel. They're up to 15th place, and they're just over 20 seconds out of the lead, with those maybe saving fuel at the front and trying to make this thing on one more stop. There's a chance that Malukas can bypass all the drivers trying to save fuel to the end. And the fuel saving might not even matter anymore.
Seems to be some place leader, a strategy which would switch up into the lead of this race and a fight for the win. Man watching on keenly is his team boss, Zach Brown, who's with Jamie Little.
Yes, Zach Brown listening on headset right now. That'll work for strategy that you guys are on and making it a one more shot, Zach.
Nervous. It's going to be a nail-biter, range 15 miles away, so that could be a factor here, and one more stop's going to be close, but we picked our strategy, and was a yellow wouldn't be a bad thing here shortly.
So fuel, weather, race car, is it good enough if he can keep it there?
If he can keep him over there, Pato can work some magic. I don't think he can fix this car all day, but I think we've worked away on it. If we can get him in a position to win, I'm sure he can do the rest.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Pato O'Ward has been in this position before, only to have his heart broken. This race that he wants to win above all others, guys. And it took something magical to take it away from him.
Joseph Newgarden with just such a big bold move on the outside for O'Ward. A runner-up once again as he contemplates if that would be his best chance to win, or if it would come at some point in the future. And right now, boy, based on what Zach Brown said, James, I think they're a little bit short.
Yeah, but look, they've caught up to the back end of the field. So you got Pat O'Ward here running second in front of him, Rosenquist, but Rosenquist is off the back of that other lead pack that's starting with David Malukas. And right in front of Rosenquist, crucially, is Elio Castroneves, his teammate and team owner, can help tow him around the same way that Ryan Hunter-Reay towed Alex Rossi around 10 years ago to try to win this race on fuel. There is a beautiful irony now that the lead group of this race are caught up to the back of the group who were leading earlier, but are now on a different strategy, and that this may allow Rosenquist, O'Ward, Hauger to save enough fuel to make the strategy work that would defeat the likes of Palou and Malukas and McLaughlin and Daly. They had to push hard and burn fuel to get there, but now that they're there, I think it's a good situation for them. They can start saving that last hit. It's going to be long. It's going to be tough. But look, the other drivers have to make up 7/8 of the racetrack to catch them. And look who's behind Pato O'Ward. Rookie Dennis Hauger, the reigning Indy Next champion, the Norwegian nightmare, one of the most promising young drivers in this championship. He hasn't seen a rookie of his like for some time. Kevin Lee has more on him.
And who's calling strategy for Dennis Hauger is the team owner, Dale Floyd. That was a switch in assignments, and Dale has been known to do something a little bit different and has won multiple races over the years with cars that you didn't expect to be in the fight. Hauger has had a very solid but not spectacular month so far, but the talent is there. A former winner on the F1 ladder and F2 and dominated the Indy Next Championship.
And he's right there with O'Ward and Rosenquist on pace. What a majestic job he's doing today.
They only got to make it a few more laps. Pato O'Ward just pitted 37 laps to go. That is a long way to get him. This race stays green, but Dennis Hauger, crucially, able to go an additional lap. Pato along with Felix Rosenquist. These guys are hanging on by a thread to make this strategy work. Jamie.
See Pato O'Ward, he went 32 laps. They brought him down. They said, box now. They'll make it as fast as possible. Pack up with fuel. Tear off for the number 5. Car is good. A little slow on the right pack. And he's down.
See, 7.6, that's a pretty decent time. We've seen some a little bit quicker, some a little bit slower, but now you see Hauger pulling in. Here's some radio from the leader, Felix Rosenquist, who stays in another lap. Not sure how long ago that was, but
Tell you what, Felix Rosenquist has done an amazing job to out-save Pato O'Ward and Dennis Hauger going 2 laps further than Pato O'Ward, and Felix has got that really nice draft off Castro Neves. As he comes around, it'll be 30 laps left in this race, and now he pits, and he might be in range to make it.
careful, buddy. Last pit stop for you at 8,500. You don't want any mistakes here. It can still all come unglued. This team has done such a good job, Jamie, getting to this point.
They really have. This car has had so much speed today. They have been adjusting on it each stop. Just a little too much oversteer. They've done a good job in the pits as they count him down into his box, which they hope will be his final stop. For tires, fill it with fuel as much as they can. You see the tear off there for clear vision. As we have 34 laps to go, and right on the fuel. Solid stop.
Needs that big outlap to Felix Rosenquist. The leaders come through. They will pass him. So this is just him losing the lead of the race. This is not going a lap down.
These guys will all have to stop one more time. Guys, if Felix Rosenquist can save a little fuel, he is in a great spot to win his first.
He wants the end of it. O'Ward, by stopping a couple of laps earlier, had the advantage, had the heat in his tyres, had the momentum on track. Gets ahead of Rosenquist.
But Pato O'Ward has to go 2 laps farther on fuel than Felix Rosenquist. That's why we heard the hesitation in Zach Brown's voice. I don't think you can go 36 laps at green.
But here's the thing. Look at everybody ahead of him. From Lucas to Hauger's had a speeding on pit lane. A drive-through for Dennis Hauger. He's out of the mix now. Oh, what a huge shame. Heartbreak for the young Norwegian, the rookie doing such a good job.
One front, but I further leave. No panic. Got 3 laps.
And the reason they say don't panic is because Malukas, Palou, and McLaughlin all have to stop one more time. O'Ward in 4th is good to the finish if he can make his fuel last. Rosenquist should be good to the finish.
Oh, Rosenquist is sitting pretty right now. He knows O'Ward is trapped a bit unless a caution comes out. Now, 32 to go. The leaders at any time and make it easily on fuel, but they will stay out in case a caution comes.
And the longer that you can go, if a caution doesn't come, the shorter that final stop has to be in terms of the amount of fuel that you have to put on board.
Average fuel 5 to get back work.
He needs to save 2 laps
worth of fuel. But here's why you can't just sit there and let it burn that fuel. If a yellow does come out, then Pato's safe. So Felix does need to put the hammer down and chase down Pato Award.
Let's listen to Pato's radio. How are they doing?
Auto trying to get fuel 74. 74 is we need to be in.
James, the folks at home won't see it, but you're grimacing. Yeah, look, every team does something a little bit different, and they try to code their MPG, but I've been around enough to know certain scales, and if 74 is what I think it is, guys, that is a large number to hit, and based on what we've seen at this racetrack in the past, that is a tall order in terms of number of laps, 36, that Pato Award needs to do.
These guys both did on lap 130 on the previous stop. Rosenquist with a brilliant, a magical job to get 2 laps to the good on fuel advantage over Pato Award. That's the experience of Rosenquist. Boy, what a drive it's been for him today.
An incredible run from Felix Rosenquist. Guys, let's not forget, he was the fastest all the way through Super Sunday of qualifying. Rapid.
He was auto quick. He's 2 laps or top on fuel explore.
You're talking about that for the win, but right now it's still David Malukas up front, leading this pack ahead of Palou McLaughlin. That's your top 3 right now. They're going to have to peel into the pits here in a moment, and you see Award right there behind the yellow car of McLaughlin. But Palou's just sitting behind Malukas, saving fuel for exactly what we just talked about, Townsend. Short fill. It doesn't look like it's going to be the right strategy necessarily, but he wants to be the best car on it in case the brakes fall their way. Rosenquist in 5th for MSR. Guys, MSR have won 1 race. What was it? It was this one, back in 2021 with Elio Castroneves. They know how to deal with pressure. They know how to play the highest stakes game. They know how to win the greatest spectacle in racing. Felix Rosenquist, 29, now 28 laps to go in prime position behind Pato Award. And look, they're going to come out almost a full lap behind these two when they pit. Even if these guys have to back off a fair amount to save the fuel, that is an awful lot of racetrack to make up.
Rosenquist continuing to just be very patient. His team has done such a great job to give him all the information on exactly where he sits in this race. Listen up.
Guys, 27 laps to go. You are told it's between you and the guy directly ahead of you for the win of the Indianapolis 500. What runs through your head? If I feel it's Rosenquist, a lot of different things. One, I'm racing my best friend. But that doesn't matter right now, but it's gonna maybe come to play after this thing's done. But number 2, Pato has been in this position almost every single year for the last 5 years. This guy here has been fighting for the win. He knows that pressure. He knows what that last lap is like. Whereas Rosenquist hasn't really been in that fight. He's been in the top 5. He's seen it unfold in front of him. But the experience right now is advantage Pato.
If I'm Felix Rosenquist, I want to continue to receive information as Felix Rosenquist almost crashed in turn 2. I saw a wiggle there, and Floyd, with a potential win on the line, he almost threw it away.
Still 26 laps left.
So who still leads? McLaughlin. They need to stop one more time. Daly in 6th needs to stop again. So too does Ericsson. So too does Dixon.
Boy, that was so close for Rosenquist. Malukas is coming in for his last stop and go to Georgia Hannaberry.
David Malukas harnessing that Penske pressure that he's talked about. They've given him everything that he's needed. Now it's up to him to make it on his marks. This stop's going to take them all the way to the end. 4 tires filling up with fuel to take them to the end of the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. He's down the way with springs.
Dixon move on Scott McLaughlin. Coming down into 3.
Guys, Felix Rosenquist is losing the handle of his race car. I saw him almost wreck a second time in the short shoot. He is hanging on. Watch this.
Wow, he hit the curb.
Just put the front end.
Yep.
Looked like much movement in the wheel from where we're sitting, but I promise you, from the seat of that race car, it's a big one. Watch this one. Just getting really dicey with the rear of the car.
He's making the adjustments, and you can see that gap to Pato O'Ward has grown. Now you've got Jack Harvey sitting between O'Ward and Rosenquist.
Townsend, it doesn't look like he's saving a whole lot of fuel to me. As Palou now on pit lane, clean stop for the pole sitter.
I think Pato O'Ward is stuck in no man's land, and now things are really stacking up.
I was going to say, he's praying for a yellow because that might be what's coming right here. Siegel on the outside of Kevin Simpson.
These guys know they're fighting what could be a top 3, top 4 position when all of these pit stops shake out. They've taken their final stop. Siegel's in that mix, so too is Simpson. As well, the rookie could be on through a top 3, top 4 finish at his first ever Indianapolis 500.
So 23 to go, and this is straight up the lead of the race. Pato O'Ward, Rosenquist, and Marcus Ericsson there, also in no man's land. He still needs to make another stop.
Save, Pato, save. Sit there behind the 19 of Dennis Hauger. We know he's sort of taken himself out of contention with that penalty. Nope. He's going by.
James, I think Plato's driving for a caution, meaning he is going to keep the point and just gamble that a caution's coming out.
Go, Pro, and the fuel number. Great hole, go here.
There you go. That's the call I was waiting for. That's the team saying, look, I know you're looking in your mirror. You don't want Rosenquist going by, but you've got to save some fuel. Let's use Rahal as a bit of a pick, have him tow along, and look how much he's lifted.
That was a massive lift from O'Ward. A big shift in strategy now and a big shift in driving technique. All the way down to 205 miles an hour in turn 4.
But it's going to lead to a big shift in fuel consumption. And as long as he keeps an eye on Rosenquist behind, you've got to have that patience. You got to have that reserve.
Hey guys, there's another player in this party that is starting to close in, and that is the teammate of Felix Rosenquist. Marcus Armstrong is on the same strategy. Meyer Shank Racing, with 2 of their 3 cars, is in the hunt. Armstrong just 2.8 seconds back.
He's got 1 lap more fuel than O'Ward, 1 lap less than Rosenquist, but very much in the fight here in the number 66.
Armstrong has never won a race in the NTT IndyCar Series. Rosenquist has only won 1 race in the NTT IndyCar Series. And Pato O'Ward, well, we know he is one of the winningest drivers in the field at the moment. And look at Rosenquist coming up behind O'Ward now, as O'Ward sits in the slipstream, in the tow of Graham Rahal, trying to save fuel. Rosenquist pulls him in. This is such a difficult position for Pato O'Ward to be in because he can see Felix in his mirror. He knows he's got more fuel, so he has to stay as calm and controlled as possible.
Guys, the last lap, 210 miles an hour for Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenquist. They are nursing their race cars home. Meanwhile, Romain Grosjean is 23 seconds back. He's in a similar window. I don't know that he can close that gap, but this is going to be masterful to make it home and stay with your track.
Yeah, David Malukas is the guy we have to watch on the alternate strategy. He is in the 5th place position right now, 23 seconds out of the lead. He'll probably get by Romain Grosjean for 4th here shortly. That last lap, David Malukas ran a 40.6 to a 42.3 to Pato O'Ward. O'Ward and Rosenquist trying to save fuel, nurse it to the end, and win the 110th Indianapolis 500 on fuel mileage. Meanwhile, everybody outside of Malukas pretty much on back on the strategy for those that had to make it on 2 pit stops in this final green flag run because they did not pit during the last Joseph Newgarden caution. And they're trying to just run their fastest laps, time trial laps, lap over lap, and try to close the gap. With only 17 laps to go this time by, it's going to be very tough. Malukas is going to have to be well over a second faster lap to get up to Pato O'Ward and Rosenquist. Then you got Marcus Armstrong in 3rd, who is on the same strategy as Rosenquist and O'Ward, trying to save some fuel on his own. He doesn't have as much draft, and he's 4.4 seconds out of the lead.
the lead of this race, and the battle between O'Ward and Rosenquist as Rosenquist lines up Pato O'Ward on the run down into one and just sits in his toe at the moment. The one-time leaders of this race have taken their stops. I'm looking at Alex Palou in 7th place right now on track. He's made his final stop. He's running about 5 miles an hour a lap, up near the 220s every lap. He's not out of this yet.
Let's check in on pit lane with Jamie Little.
Townsend, you guys talked about Felix Rosenquist, and he's 2 laps better than Pato O'Ward. They just came on the radio and told Felix, we are good to go on fuel. If you want to make a move on O'Ward now, go for it.
And you know what, in all of that,
2 laps better on fuel, so there you hear it. And here comes Felix Rosenquist right as he gets that message. Going to try to pass Pato O'Ward for the lead. He has closed the gap immensely down the front stretch. And as across the yard of bricks, it's still Pato O'Ward out in front for the moment. Might be better for O'Ward to sit second in line, make sure he's got enough fuel, and then try to attack in the last couple laps of this race. We are 3 lead changes away from breaking the record for the most lead changes in Indy 500 history at 69. The record stands from 2013. Pato O'Ward trying to draft off of the lap cars just up in front as they head for the start-finish line, this time by O'Ward still leads. Rosenquist with the run. Rosenquist leads at the line, and he'll shoot ahead. And he is well clear into the first turn.
15 to go. The McLaren man stretches his legs.
He's got to know where he is on fuel. I assume he knows he's good to start pressing for these last 15 laps. Pato, in the meantime, really in a tough spot.
There are no lap cars in front of Rosenquist. He's at the head of his train. No one to help him out. It all comes to the engine map that you set on the steering wheel and the right foot. That's how the driver can help affect that fuel number. A couple different engine maps that you can put it into that'll lead it out, save you a little bit. But ultimately, the driver's right foot is the most powerful tool when you're trying to save fuel. And if he was comfortable to go by at this point, he must know that he can hit that number out front by himself.
And that last lap for Rosenquist, a 2:19. So he has stepped it up most definitely.
If they're using the same scale, guys, we heard it was 7-7 for O'Ward, 8-7 for Rosenquist. And this the move that seals first place. Now,
Lord, well, thank you.
in the live pictures at the top of your screen, now having to defend Mick Schumacher. As O'Ward desperately tries to make a fuel number work, not just to get him home, but to allow him once again to fight for victory at Indianapolis. 13 to go. It's not over. On board with O'Ward. Even Rosie's backing off a little bit now, so he does have to hit a number, but Pato smartly backing off to save. He needs to have the fuel. And here comes Schumacher. Unlaps himself. That's almost what Rosenquist wants, though, a hard front to have.
Good situation for Rosenquist to have Mick Schumacher get ahead, and maybe Rosenquist could draft off him.
Pato's just got to stay controlled here.
Calculators are going full steam on pit lane as the strategists are trying to figure out how much gas do we have left, how much do we need to save to make it to the end as we take a look on board Pato O'Ward as he comes Mick Schumacher to the outside.
Outside. Yes, that part of it.
Actually, you heard Rosenquist say, I didn't see him, didn't know he was there. He came with such a head of steam. But this is actually sort of working out now. This is what we saw Palou doing last year, having a lap car help tow him around, make it harder for Ericsson to make the pass in that case. Rosenquist has only won one race in his 119 starts here in the NTT IndyCar Series on an oval. His best finish is 4th. He's done it here more than once, but he could be staring at his first oval win at the Indy 500. the strangest statistic.
10 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. Felix Rosenqvist, who has a best finish 2 different times of a 4th place run, looking for his first career oval win, and obviously the biggest win of his career, the Indianapolis 500. Pat Ward in second, both on fuel strategy mode, as they try to save enough gas while also trying to race each other for the win. In the midst of them saving fuel, Marcus Armstrong has closed the gap a bit as well in 3rd place. He was 4.4 seconds out of the lead on the same strategy as Pato Ward and Felix Rosenqvist. He is in 3rd, and he is now back to 4.2 back again. He was 2.8 out of the lead, and then he ran a lap time over 43 seconds that last lap, so he might have been running a bit too hard, too early in the run, trying to catch up to the top 2, and he might just have to sacrifice the race win for a good finish, knowing that they got to make it home first. David Malukas is 23 seconds out of the race lead right now. The pace is picked up just a bit by the leaders, and we will see. He's got fresher tires to try to hold on and make it to the end. 8 laps to go this time by in the Indianapolis 500. Felix Rosenqvist's car has not been very good. Oh, we got a huge fire. Back in the pack, the 4 car headed for the inside wall with some major problems. That is rookie Kyle Collette, who was leading very early in the race. For AJ Foyt Racing having a major problem. Rogue tire rolling away with 8 laps left. Caution is out in the Indianapolis 500.
Chance to fight. This gives maybe David Malukas a real chance with good fuel. We watch as the AMR safety team tends to the rookie of Kyle Collette. A big impact on the right side.
A scary looking crash for rookie Kyle Collette. Brazilian from Sao Paulo in his first ever attempt at the Indianapolis 500 has impressed us all. 24 years of age, graduate of the Indy Next series.
Had been running as the highest rookie after the penalty for Hauger, and he's had such a great month, really. All month long, he's been so impressive, really building up to it at a good pace. It's a devastating way to end your first Indy 500.
The red flag is out. We are going to have a shootout at Indianapolis.
That is not entirely unexpected, Townsend. We've seen that a couple times in the last few years, and it really sets the stage for one heck of a finish.
All the cars will come to pit lane.
Mike Shank just cannot believe it.
The teams will not be able to touch the cars except for backup battery support and fans.
And we are at, as we sit under red flag, 67 lead changes, one short of the all-time record in the Indy 500. As we see Kyle Collette climb from his stricken AJ Foyt racing machine, and that is good to see that he's getting out of his own accord. The crowd salute him and cheer him. And I think cheer a new hero in Kyle Collette. He has impressed this 350,000 strong crowd all month of May. What a sad end to what has been such a phenomenal rookie performance.
So here's off of 2.
God, caught it.
Oh, that's horrible. Overcorrected it into the wall.
Exact same part of the racetrack. Exact same moment that Ryan Hunter-Reay had earlier in this race. Tom Rinaldi called it at the start of this thing. Treacherous turn 2 has defined this place for so many years.
And look at the deformation of the safer barrier as he gets in there. Just such an incredible safety improvement. Really pioneered here at the Speedway. That would be a much more jarring hit from inside the cockpit if that wasn't there.
Now, he still felt every bit of that. I know they call it the safer barrier, and there's some foam inserts between the steel membrane and the concrete. James, you and I have both hit that thing. It feels like it's all concrete, but it does an amazing job of dissipating energy. As you see the right front suspension, brake rotor, and hub just tumbling along through the turf.
So under a red flag situation in the Indianapolis 500 with a late crash from rookie Cal Collette with 7 laps to go, and this is going to kind of force hand into making sure we're going to get one restart at this thing. And pit road is not opened yet, but it is worth noting David Malukas in the 4th place position would be the first of which that had pitted under green, has fresher tires than Rosenquist, Award, and Armstrong, the top 3 in front of him. And then he's got a kind of a gap car between himself and Roman Grosjean in 5th. Roman on the same fuel saving strategy to that of Rosenquist, Award, and Armstrong as well. Alex Palou, the pole sitter, of course, trying to go for the race win. And we shall see if he's going to be able to get it done. Showing a lot of speed in that number 12 Penske. I don't think this red flag is going to be all that much longer. Should be back to caution at some point pretty soon. I don't like these red flag situations to try to guarantee a green, white, checkered finish. It's in a way kind of manufacturing overtime, if you will, when there isn't technically overtime in the NTT IndyCar series. Still weather band headed in. That would be the worst thing to have happen right now, is if it just started letting loose with the rain. I sure hope not. Trying to regain internet connection at the moment. Well, the caution flag is displayed. Red flag, I should say specifically, is displayed. I mean, the red flag, obviously, for the cleanup that is to take place following this crash, but with just 7 laps to go in the race, I think it's pretty fair to say that the cleanup isn't the exact reason for the red. Good news is Cal Collette did climb from his race car under his own
He
power.
came out on top that day. I know he would love to be the 3rd Swedish driver after Marcus and Kenny Brack, of course, back in '99 to win the 500. How does this help Pato Award? Because that last lap under caution, we will roll out behind the safety car. Does this help him? Does this...
Absolutely. Yeah, Pato Award's going to have some fuel to use. Is it absolutely max fuel to the finish? I don't know. We sit on board, thanks to Arrow, looking at Pato Award. But David Malukas and Team Penske.
Yeah.
Malukas has backed out of high-risk situations all day long. But let's first listen to a little radio from the number 5. Sound like full push to the end for Pato Award. It gives us the history how we got to this point, but it suggests to me like there's still a little work to do for Pato Award to get to the finish of this thing. Where does Farici sit right now? He pitted on 165. So he's level on fuel with Marcus Armstrong.
Malukas, Palou, McLaughlin in the top 10. Those 3 were fighting for the lead. They're in that mix.
Let's find out back on pit lane with Jamie Little. What's going on with the 5?
Nick Snyder is the strategist. You've been on the radio. This changes everything, but tell me, how good is your driver? Can he go max here for 6 or so laps?
I sure hope so. He did a good job a couple of years ago. See if we can do it again. They'll be able to push with another lap of yellow here. Are they going to be full rich? So it's all in his hands now.
I know Zach told us he was a little nervous earlier. What are these emotions like at the end of the race now? You're in it.
We're still doing our job. Just stay focused on what we have, task at hand, and see if we can get it to the finish.
All right, let's see if Pato Award can finally get his first win.
Full rich means it's on. And if you want to know where Fox's United Football League coverage is on between the Dallas Renegades and the Lerville Kings, well, it's starting on FS1 and the Fox One. We will get you to Lerville once we conclude our broadcast here in Indianapolis. But frankly, we're having such a good time that we don't want to go anywhere just now. It's on, guys. Full rich means full push.
But what I love about what Nick Snyder said is it's in his hands. And guys, there's no faster, no sharper set of hands in IndyCar around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with 10 laps to go than Pat Award. We've seen it time and time again. As you see, when all the drivers had their last stop, big advantage for David Malukas and Alex Palou in terms of tire life, 10 laps to the good. But everyone's good on fuel, apparently.
I know, James, but tires are a big deal. You look at Malukas and McLaughlin there. Even down in 11th is Connor Daly. Alex Palou with fresh tires. Daly could go absolutely bonkers here on a restart. I mean, we've seen guys all day make up 5-6 spots by going huge on the very first lap. So anything is possible. It will be all or nothing for these top 10, I'd say top 11 drivers to close this out. These fans who have stayed patiently all day are about to get one heck of a treat in terms of a race finish.
They're going to get a treat. They're going to get a showdown to finish the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. It couldn't be more tantalizingly set up. Felix Rosenqvist, Pato O'Ward, Marcus Armstrong, David Malukas, Romain Grosjean, your top 5. Rosenqvist with 1 win, O'Ward with 9. 3rd, 4th, 5th in this race. 0 race wins between them.
Wow.
Let's head back down to pit lane.
And will you mention Romain Grosjean, and he is legit, even without this red flag, to be able to make it home. He had a penalty. He had to give up a few spots not that long ago, but Diff was going to make it on fuel. He was just told by the team, hey, you pulled a rabbit out of the hat today. Let's go ahead and bring it home. They have full push to be able to go to the finish and see if they can pick up some more spots or maybe even steal one.
We are going to get back to racing ways. Engines
are firing back up again, so we are back to yellow flag. Red flag has been lifted. Abbreviated post-race for today's Indianapolis 500 coverage. As soon as the checkered flag falls, the stream will be at an end here seconds later. Unfortunately, I apologize for that. May not get to the interview with the race winner, but we will be live to see the checkered flag as red flag has now just been lifted. Our second red flag of the day. We had about a 15-minute red flag for rain earlier, and now this crash resulting in another 10-minute or so red in the final 10 laps of the race. But we're back to caution, and cars are back out on the racetrack again. And the top 3 of the running order will have older tires. Felix Rosenqvist, Pato O'Ward, Marcus Armstrong, David Malukas, slightly fresher tires. He last pitted, I believe, with about 26 or 27 laps to go. So he still has about 20 laps on them, but not as many laps as Rosenqvist, O'Ward, about a dozen less. Will that make much of a difference? Plus, you got to consider that Malukas has had that strong of a car. He's had a top 5 race car today. Same for Alex Palou in 6th as well.
An IndyCar race. Zach Brown can barely stand to watch this. 50 years since McLaren last won the Indianapolis 500.
I think Zach Brown looked that stressed when Lando Norris was going for the Formula One World Championship last December.
Because this means so much more to him. This is the race that he wanted to win as a kid, and now he owns one of the biggest names in international motorsport. He wants the Triple Crown, but without the Indy 500, none of it means anything to him.
You saw the angst from the team owner, Mike Shank. 20 minutes ago, his drivers ran 1st and 3rd. They looked strongly in control. Now, everything is seemingly out of control as more cars come to pit lane. Or this is lap cars. Lap cars getting out of the way, so it's only pure lead lap.
No fuel save.
No fuel save. Focus forward. You've got it. That's the message to Felix Rosenquist.
Boy, you got to wonder how much.
So lap cars came to pit road that time. There are 18 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Top 10, Felix Rosenquist in the lead. Pato O'Ward second, Marcus Armstrong third, David Malukas fourth, Roman Grosjean in fifth, Alex Palou sixth, Santino Ferrucci seventh, Takuma Sato eighth, Renus VK ninth, and Scott McLaughlin rounding out the top 10. We will go through the full field finishing order when the checkered flag flies, but we may not have enough time to get to the race winner of today's race. They'll be coming around for 5 laps to go this time by. The field has not gotten the 1 to go signal yet, and we'll see if that will end up happening maybe this time around. If so, we'll be going green with maybe 4 laps remaining.
With 6 to go, the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500 is still anyone's for the taking. We will have 1 to go.
Yep.
Past the flag this time, which means that we will have, if it stays green, 5 laps to determine the outcome
4.
of the Indianapolis 500.
4 laps.
To determine the outcome of the Indianapolis 500. I love that calm message from Will Anderson on the radio to Pato O'Ward. You've been here before. You know what to do. Just get it done. That's what a driver needs in this moment. That little Coach Signetti kind of pep talk just to get amped up to go finish this thing off. As hit as it could possibly be. The hairs on the back of your neck are standing up like the crowd is in turn 1. Ward has 1.
All right. Well, pace car is already in the pits. Here we go. 4 laps remain in the Indianapolis 500 when the race leader gets to the start-finish line into the restart zone in the chute between turns 3 and 4. Rosenquist is going to be on the way to leading the field to the green. We've not seen the leader on the restarts hold on to the lead many times so far today. Pato O'Ward in second. Armstrong third, of course, David Malukas in fourth. 3 wide for the race lead as they cross the yard of bricks and into the first turn. It's definitely not going to be Rosenquist. Still 3 wide, a couple of rows back outside of the race lead battle. And it's Marcus Armstrong who gets out in front. David Malukas jumps from 4th to 2nd. Rosenquist from the lead back to 3rd, and Pato O'Ward in 4th. And we've got a caution on the racetrack with 4 laps left, and I'm not sure what it's for.
Moisture played its final hand.
Unbelievable.
What is the yellow for?
I think I saw the 47th. Oh. Well, here we go.
3 to go.
So apparently Mick Schumacher ended up getting against the wall. Caution flag waved very quickly. 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. This is going to be interesting if they're going to get another restart in. Schumacher got up against the fence, scrubbed the wall at the tail end of the pack, stayed straight, kept going, and that was a very quick trigger on the yellow, I will say. And I get it. It is IndyCar. And usually you don't see cars hit the wall like that, bounce off, and keep going, but wild restart, to say the least, leading up to that point, and we may get a 1-lap shootout.
Outside of O'Ward, where did Malukas come from?
If we don't get a 1-lap shootout, this is going to be an unfortunate way to finish things off, and boy, Marcus Armstrong really lucked out on that restart.
Daly lost positions. Ferrucci made some up. We're getting 1 to go at the line.
Okay, so there you have
We
it.
take the green.
That was not the last restart, so we'll get 1 to go this time. It'll be a 1-lap green-white checker to decide the Indianapolis 500. The same thing actually happened when I was there back in 2022 as well. I don't trust Marcus Armstrong's going to hang on to this. I think he was hoping that was going to be the finish of the race. It is not. This was our 7th caution of the race today. David Malukas jumped up 2 spots on the last restart. Can he get 1 more? Can Rosenquist, who lost the lead, falling back to 3rd, get back out in front 1 more time? Leaders down the back straightaway. Down the front stretch, coming to get that 1 to go.
Well, this theater of speed, bring him in. David Malukas. Responsibility of that famous Number 12, Horizon Chevrolet, racing Roger Penske in the team's 60th anniversary year. Neither has ever tasted success in this championship.
And the last time
It was Joseph Newgarden, another Team Penske driver, sitting in second and got the jump.
We've seen it, guys. Being first on the restart has not been advantageous so far today.
Nope, that has been exactly the case, unfortunately for Armstrong. Does not mean the race is over, though. He could get past coming to the green, maybe hold on to second and make another pass back, either coming to the line or down the back straightaway. It's 2.5 miles around this famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's probably going to take all 2.5 to try to situate who is going to win. A green-white checker in which they will get the green and white at the same time. One lap for the 500th mile of the race. Green flag is back in the air. Armstrong doing the best he can to just pull away. He's now trying to break the draft with an accordion effect down the front straightaway. Everybody in line trying to hold with him. As they cross the yard of bricks, it's David Malukas taking the lead into the first turn, and Rosenqvist on the outside trying to make a pass for second. A daring move of which nearly making contact with Marcus Armstrong. Nobody giving an inch through turn 2 either. And somehow, neither one of those two made contact with one another, and as they exit the corner, they're still side drafting down the back straightaway. That is going to allow for Malukas in the lead to hold strong as he heads for turn 3. Can they actually hold side by side all the way through this 2.5 mile racetrack? Rosenqvist has done a fantastic job on the top. He gets to second. He's trying to make a charge at Malukas. As they come down the front stretch, David Malukas can't hang on side by side of the line. And Felix Rosenqvist will win the 110th Indianapolis 500. Sneaks through at the last second from third to first on that one-lap dash. He lost the lead the restart before, got it back at the finish, and Felix Rosenqvist is a first-time Indianapolis 500 winner. Unbelievable finish, one of the closest in history of this great race. On a green-white checker, and a heartbreaker for Malukas, who nabbed the lead headed into turn 1 on the white flag lap. Will not get to the checkered first. Only the second career NTT IndyCar victory for Rosenqvist, and obviously, again, a first-time Indy 500 winner. The team played the fuel strategy out the best, and they end up with a race win on top of it. It's a job well done. Margin of victory, 2/100ths of a second between Rosenqvist and Malukas. Scott McLaughlin charges in from nowhere to get up to third. Pato Award fourth, and Marcus Armstrong, who led coming to the white, finishes in fifth. Renus VK 6th, Alex Palou, the pole sitter 7th, Santino Ferrucci 8th, Roman Grosjean in 9th, and Takuma Sato rounds out the top 10. Nolan Siegel in 11th, Connor Daly in 12th, Marcus Ericsson 13th, Kiffin Simpson 14th, and Scott Dixon 15th, Kyle Kirkwood in 16th, Christian Lundgaard 17th, Mick Schumacher 18th, Daniel Hogger 19th, and Graham Rahal rounds out the top 20. Lewis Foster 21st, Jack Harvey 22nd, Stingray Robb 23rd, Jacob Abel 24th, and Elio Castroneves, mechanical failure late, finishes 25th. Cal Collette finishes in 26th, Christian Rasmussen 27th, Joseph Newgarden 28th, Will Power 29th, and in 30th, Alex Rossi. 31st for Ed Carpenter, Ryan Hunter-Reay 32nd, and Catherine Legg rounds out the 33-car field today. Congratulations to 110th running of the Indy 500 race winner, Felix Rosenqvist. And again, a margin of victory of just over 2/100ths of a second. One of the closest finishes is in Indy 500 history. We're going to have to hop on out of here. I hate that we're not going to be able to get to this race-winning interview, but I've got to go. Thanks for watching today's live commentary coverage in full of the Indianapolis 500. We will be back again, I'm sure, next year as well. Subscribe for more NASCAR content along the way. Thank you for those who tuned in all day long between the truck race and this one, and obviously the very late O'Reilly race yesterday as well. Rain has impacted this weekend across every race so far that we've seen in every stream, and glad that we were able to at least get the full 500 miles in today. Again, thank you so much. I will see you guys next time, and have a good rest of your night.